Welcome
Welcome
to Timeline Talks.
to the Timeline Talks.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live in Technicolor from the beautiful Hollywood Hills, California. The show where the total retail price of their advice is $0. This is Timeline Talks.
Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our brand new Star Trek show. The name, I just couldn't come up with anything better, so I just called it The Star Trek Show.
So you just called it Timelines Talks 2.0?
Exactly, something like that. The first in what I hope will be a regular thing we do once a month or so, where we actually sit and talk about Star Trek news, reviews, and all sorts of things that come up as our whimsy declares it. But first of all, I should introduce you to my wonderful co-host. To the right of me here is the fantastic actor, cosplayer extraordinaire, Shia Pawn. Thank you for joining me. And below we
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And below we have Stars and Garters, comedian extraordinaire, grace us with his presence.
I have a pretty funny face, I'll give you that.
That's true, yeah. Guys, thank you for joining me. How the devil are you this week?
We're good. I'm so glad that we've chosen a week to debut the show when nothing new is happening in Star Trek time.
Absolutely not, no.
It's a nice quiet place.
Perfect. It's a perfect time.
Is the Strange New Worlds is the addiction kicking in? Are the withdrawal pains coming in for you guys?
Kind of, yeah, a little bit. Just as a preface to anyone listening, there will be no Strange New World spoilers tonight. We're going to very much aware that certain streaming services in the international markets are not caught up yet. People haven't had time to watch it, so don't tune out. No Strange New World spoilers. But yes, I am not looking forward to tomorrow when I wake up and go, no, I've got nothing.
You just have to watch boring old TNG. How awful!
I know, isn't that no? Sub Rosa again.
You love that. You bring that up more than anyone I know. You love Sub Rosa.
I think I've looped round from like ironically enjoying it to maybe actually enjoying it.
All the TNG shows are so well made and put together and acted. There's little tidbits to enjoy in each of them.
There is. It's a good moment for Gates McFadden. She gets to really show her range, screaming at a haunted house.
That's right.
And articulating her true feelings for Ronan. But how have we not even covered anything? We're already talking about Sub Rosa. Must have been my fault. Blame Idol.
It is you. It is always you.
It is absolutely always me. So yes, we're going to be talking. So how are these going to work? We haven't quite worked out what kind of order, because this is our first one, the first one of these we've ever done. So we're going to go through news, things that have happened, talk about that, various things that have gone on in the Star Trek world, what's happening at the moment, things like that. And then we're going to sort of take a period to talk about a little rewatch, or talk about things, a show that's happened before. And this week, I think Stars, you picked to say, why don't we watch Generations? So we're going to be talking about interesting things about Star Trek Generations. Why did you pick Generations, just out of interest?
Because it's the one no one talks about.
We don't talk about Generations.
Because what is it that everyone always says? Like, the slow motion picture, Ralph Kahn will be cribbed. Every single scene from that will be cribbed ad nauseum. Yeah. 3 has like a bit of a drubbed reputation, which I don't think it deserves. People still like it for the iconic moments. 4 is beloved. 5 is widely mocked for good reason. 6 is beloved. First Contact is hailed by as the second coming of Christ, as it rightly should be. Insurrection is the goofy 2-parter. Nemesis is an embarrassment. The Kelvin movies are their own conversation. And then it's like Generations is in there as this weird red-headed stepchild that's kind of a TV movie, kind of not. And you can even see it in the uniforms, where people are kind of wearing the TV uniforms, but kind of not. And it's like, most people will ever really talk about it is, wow, I sure don't like Kirk's death. And it's like, that's all people will really say about it.
Well, now that Stars has summed up every single movie, we're done, right?
Yeah. Just cancel it now. One week, one show. We're done. Fantastic. Can you hit her? A fun fact that just come off the top of my head. Did you know that Generations got itself a PC game, like one of the Microprose PC games? Can you name me the other? Yeah, there was a Star Trek Generations PC game, and I think we'll go into it at some point. Can you name me the other Star Trek film that got a game tie-in?
That's
I feel like this trivia clearly indicates that it's a terrible film.
Final Frontier.
No.
Insurrection. It should be First Contact. Let's be clear.
It should be First
of all
First
the
Contact is
movies,
made
it
for
should
a
be
first-person
Contact.
shooter.
Right.
It is in
Yeah.
fact Insurrection. The game Star Trek Hidden Evil is a almost like a walking kind of adventure game that features you play as Picard and Data as they investigate the Baku after Insurrection. Yeah, there was a game. I remember owning it, but I don't remember a lot about it. But yeah, that
What's
and
to
Generations.
investigate? They're the space Amish.
Yeah, but it was. Go on.
It's just an ASMR game, right? You just have Donna Murphy lulling you to sleep.
Yes. I've never seen.
We don't talk about the Kelvin game. I played that Kelvin game.
Oh
Awful.
yeah, that's actually a good point. No, there were 3. Sorry, yeah, no, my mistake. There were actually 3. So yeah,
Well,
Kelvin move. That
to be
Kelvin
fair-
one's so bad.
Bridge Command is great, and I just think
Yeah.
that's set on a Kelvin bridge. Is
Yeah.
it not? The
Oh,
VR
Bridge Crew. Yeah.
Bridge Crew,
it
yeah.
does both actually. It does Kelvin. It's a Kelvin one. There's the TOS and the TNG bridges as well. So it's got.
Oh,
it's
are
got
there?
3.
See,
Yeah,
I-
it spans.
I only played it
Not-
at launch, and I think they just had the one bridge at that time.
Not to plug our own content, but we did in fact do a stream where I believe us and Low Cost Monkey
Yeah.
were playing, and we did 1 or 2 missions on the Kelvin Bridge, which was
Red alarm.
it's designed for
Red
ultimate.
alarm.
Thank you,
Red
Johnny Sins,
alarm.
for joining us.
Yeah, because it's designed for ultimate readability because you can actually make sense of the UI. There's the TOS bridge, which is hard mode because it's all the jelly buttons, so like
Yeah,
nothing is
that was
labeled.
fun.
And you have to have the overlay so you know what does what. And then there's the TNG bridge, which is like the best of both worlds because it has the classic L cars, but you can actually read what you're fucking doing.
But it was a tough mission, wasn't it? I remember we just walked in
Oh,
and went,
you
"There's
fight
a
the ball?"
Borg cube." Oh fuck.
Yeah. It's a really cool thing where you have to go to 3 different systems and pick up a certain bit of tech, and once you have all 3 bits of tech, you have a fighting chance. But otherwise, it's a running retreat, and it's really hard.
We should do that again. That was very fun. I remember I got a mod for it where because if you stand because I had it on the VR headset and if you stand up it gives you a warning saying you need to sit down and like I'll sit down. But I've actually managed to get it so you can get rid of that warning and you just walk anywhere. But the problem is it stretches out your body. So I'd go stand next to stars and there'd just be this horrific like stretched out version of me just standing there.
I never knew you were a closet Edosian this entire time.
If you do that again, I might buy an Oculus just to join you guys.
Ooh. It
Well,
was
I've
good.
been
We would
meaning
be
to play
honoured.
one.
You don't need to. I mean, we could crossplay because I think you were PlayStation, weren't you, Stars, and you weren't VR.
Yeah.
You were standard, so you can just buy the game and play with anyone. So you
They
don't need to
did
smash
add
it
an
out.
update so
Yeah.
that it's not VR only,
Yeah.
so you can just play it just completely standard,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
which is
nice.
awesome.
Yeah, so that's quite good. But yeah, I had to, of course, I had to play it VR. It's more fun. But yeah, the TOS bridge was just me looking at all these buttons, going, "What? I'm just pressing things, going, "What does this do? Oh, we're blowing up. Oh, okay."
Don't worry,
that's
we'll
part
get
of
the
the
Strange New Worlds bridge eventually.
Oh well, no, they're not supporting it at the moment, but never mind. Hopefully they'll do that again because that was good fun.
Like a living dream.
Here's to the next generation of Star Trek games. So actually, hopefully Resurgence will plow on through. We'll have some of that later. Okay, let's do some news. I need to have a jingle for news. I have someone just go doo 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 doo. I need to work on that. News. Okay. We've got a lot to cover here because we're kind of starting from a point of an unknown point, so we're going to go back so far. But Paramount Plus.
Point 1, there is this show called Star Trek. You should watch it.
Yes, Gene Roddenberry has come up with this amazing concept, Wagon Train to the Stars. Who knew? How outrageous. Still doesn't like women, though, but hey, what can you do? Right, Paramount Plus has launched in the UK now. So for those of you who were in the United Kingdom or some international markets, not all international markets, it's still not quite everywhere yet. CBS and Paramount's logistics are all over the place. But the other
Who
downside
knew that launching a digital app in year 2022 was so hard?
it's weird because you look at Disney Plus and they just went, yeah, it's on. Everyone gets it. It's like, okay, cool. I mean, I appreciate Disney are a bigger company than CBS, but you know, if they can do it, surely you can. But the other
Did you say bigger or better?
bigger. I'm gonna say bigger. I'm not gonna say
Okay.
better.
All right.
Yeah, better is a case of which devil do you want?
Exactly.
Right.
So the other downside of this, so Paramount Plus is launched in the UK, so hurrah for those of us who don't have to pirate anymore. But the other side of it is they didn't just
pirate? Who would
do that? How have we been reviewing show Stars before we launched?
Stars has just been reading episode summaries.
Really, really detailed episode summaries. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely, we just read the synopses on Wikipedia and we just assume a lot. But
we go off vibes.
Yeah. However, they are not starting with the amount of episodes that have already been aired. They aired the first 3 episodes and have been catching up week by week. So even if you watched the finale last week, the UK is still on like episode 6 or 7, which seems bizarre to me. Why would you do that? Because I don't think they appreciate. I wonder if the people at Paramount headquarters go, well, they're on the other side of the planet, so therefore they're 6 weeks behind us. That's how time zones work, right?
Yeah, that's really weird because it could have also given them the opportunity to just have an experiment real time on dropping your entire series all at once versus doing it weekly. And they just, who needs data in this day and age?
There has been a shift away, because Netflix did that for a while, didn't they, with like the Daredevil and the Marvel series, where they just launched everything at once. And I think Stranger Things as well, they just launched that everything at once. But I noticed a lot of things like Disney Plus, they now have gone back to weekly releases, and I wonder if that's because maybe the numbers show that drip feeding it got people engaged for longer, kept them subscribed for longer, and wouldn't just go, right, I'll cancel until the next show. So it might be an element of that.
Yeah, because while
Go on. Please.
I was going to say, so while like Strange New World Season 1 was going on, every week I would look at my Twitter trending and it's like Spock, Strange New World, Spock, Pike, it's like, and that would be happening for 10 weeks straight. And if you can get conversations going, that's free marketing for you, ultimately. Versus dropping it all in one go, which, I don't know, maybe I'm just a lightweight, but I couldn't. Even as good as Strange New Worlds was, I couldn't sit down and watch 10 straight hours of it. I would die. Be a sensory overload, It'd be like that guy in that Nagilum kills, like just like, clutching my head, like.
That Lieutenant Singh? Well, is that the engineer?
Yeah,
maybe.
I don't know.
Oh.
As someone who uses prestige television to self-medicate myself, I can bitch through 10 hours.
See, I thought you were going to say use prestige television to appear in.
No, I would like to appear in more prestige television. Nice residuals, but I think newer streaming services also like doing the weekly format because it forces people to extend beyond the initial month-long trial period, so they can't.
It is nice for people as well that do catch up week to week and don't want to spoil, because I say there are those people that will watch, like you, Shide, will watch 10 hours of like an entire series, binge it, and then go straight on Twitter or forums or wherever, and then just go like, no, all this and blah blah blah. I need to talk about it right now. But then other people are like, I ain't got time for this shit. So maybe releasing it weekly gives people a little bit more time to catch up. So there's pros and cons for each one. I appreciate people want to see everything at once, but it would have been nice though for the UK launch of Paramount Plus to have at least caught up with the US, because I believe it was on like episode 8. It wasn't even the end of the series. Venomous in chat says they promised to launch in the summer in the Eastern European Union, but still no word. So yeah, there are still areas that just don't have it, which is crazy in this day and age. Like, why would you not? Like, especially Europe, because I mean, Brexit regardless, we are still counted as the Europe package in most TV areas. So launching in the UK, France, Germany, anywhere like that, kind of would have assumed they would have done all of Europe, but who's to know?
If it were a more together company than Paramount/CBS, whatever the current merger status is, then I would be like, maybe it's just a licensing thing. But given how not put together they are with other things, like how the whole pulling Discovery out of Netflix deal went down, I'm just inclined to say that they're just kind of not great at distribution.
It's they and they just seem to be encouraging piracy at that point. Not that anyone here does that sort of thing, but
no, never. We would never encourage that.
Yeah.
What's a pirate? There is good news. There is a little bit of good news.
I can't say anything because of spoilers, goddammit. You bastard.
Yeah, sorry. No Strange New World spoilers here. So there is good news.
You Klingon bastard, you killed my spoiler.
Yeah, it's a rodent that likes desserts.
Okay, there is good news. We literally today, as in a couple of hours ago, have been announced that Lower Decks Season 3 will be launching on Paramount Plus, hopefully everywhere, on August 25th. So that's actually really soon. That's like a month and a bit
Really
away.
soon, yeah.
Really soon. So hyped at that. So although Stranger Worlds has ended and those of us who watched it are kind of looking for that void, it won't be long. Don't go to any other franchises. They won't give you the satisfaction the Star Trek will. You just hold on and wait for season 3 of... have you seen the post? I can't bring it up because I forgot to bring it up on screen, but have you seen the poster for what they do with Lower Decks posters? Because
really
the first
fun,
one...
yeah.
The first one was very much the motion picture. The second one was the Wrath of Khan, and the third one is absolutely it's the Search for Spock, but instead of Spock in the big head, it's Rutherford. Encourage everyone to go and
I'm seeing it now. Yeah,
absolutely fantastic.
Now I'm trying to think. So what? I don't remember what the Star Trek 4 one looks like. Star Trek 5 was a bit lame. 6 is iconic with like the bird of prey.
Yeah, 4's is
Generations is pretty.
Oh, Generations is just Kirk and Picard.
Yeah, with the Enterprise.
The half faces. Isn't
First
it?
Contact, I can already see that being done.
Man.
Nemesis had a good poster. But unfortunately, that's all it had.
Yeah, pretty much. And the Kelvin ones are okay. They have okay posters. I actually like the Beyond one with the
Beyond
Enterprise.
Is an amazing poster.
Really
I love
Yeah,
that.
Beyond's a good poster. I like Beyond. So.
I'm hyped for season 3. I actually left it on a cliffhanger at the end of season 2. Have you watched season 2 yet, Stars?
I watched the first episode the other day.
You're killing me, man!
It's almost like I've been playing a Star Trek affiliated mobile game and computating combinations.
But anyway, they did leave. They did leave season 2 on a cliffhanger. Yeah, it's my fault. Blame Idle. They did leave season 2 on a cliffhanger, so I'm kind of hoping they'll wrap that up. But one of the things that was mentioned, a character, Stars, was, forget her name now, Christ, the Vulcan character that appeared at the end. Someone please correct me before I quickly memory alpha it.
I couldn't be of less help here.
This is hang on, where's douche? Hang on. What was the name of the character before I do it? God damn it.
Was it something?
Definitely. If you're going for a Vulcan,
Talin.
There we go. We got
go.
there. Played by the
It's one of those two.
Yeah, Gabrielle Ruiz. I mean, it's a Vulcan. It's to something. To bring, to Lin, to Laz. Yes, apparently it has been said that she was sort of a bit of a fan favourite, to the surprise of Mike Mahan, who wasn't expecting her to be, because he said, I love this character. So there's not going to be much of her in season 3. However, he has said Talin's going to be more prominent in season 4, because Lower Decks got the season 3 and 4 renewal just straight up. Here you go, 2 seasons. So, yes, very happy about that. But yeah, looking forward to see some more Talin at some point in the future. Sorry.
It is really nice when you get into a first season of a show, and in this day and age, you look up a interview with the showrunner, and then they just go, "Oh yeah, we have plans for season 3 because we've already been given a gimme by the network or by our distributor."
Yeah.
And it's like, thank you for ensuring we're not getting up with a Firefly situation. Thank you for at least confirming we're not going to get into a Netflix situation where everything gets cancelled after season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Just, it's appreciated that we have a long-term future for the show, and especially if it's good. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Strange New Worlds just wrapped season 2. They started shooting before
crazy.
they even debuted.
No, absolutely.
I can only imagine they got the dailies back, events them out, and they were like, "Yeah, no, print more of this."
Well, they were
Right? It shouldn't be crazy. You should assume that a television executive should be able to look at a quality product and be like, "Oh yeah, of course we should renew that."
I mean,
that is an assumption, isn't it?
Season 2 was filming before season 1 started. Like, they were already going, "This is going to be a hit. We're investing into this." So, which is really unusual.
Look at that hair.
Yeah. Pike really, like, to think about how much of Pike's performance captured the fans in Discovery season 2, to the point where they just went, "Yeah, give this man 2 seasons straight out." Like, because that is 100% of it. Okay, there's something to be said for Ethan Peck's Spock as well, but like the amount of people that just went, "I want to watch more Pike on the Enterprise," crazy. I don't think I've ever heard any other story like that.
It's pretty remarkable. It's also, I think, a case of a perfect confluence of events where I personally think that season 1 Discovery is pretty okay. I think it falls apart a little bit at the end with the resolution of the storyline. But I otherwise think there's a lot of good performances in there. Jason Isaacs is amazing. I like all the mirror stuff quite a bit. Spoilers for a 5-year-old show at this point. God, I feel old now.
Okay.
I think we can skip spoilers. And then season 2, but obviously had all the problems with the showrunners, and that was something that didn't really get settled until season 3. But when season 2 rolled around, it had that immediate brightening of tone. things felt a bit more cohesive, and Mount came in, and it's like that's why people kind of recommend, if you want, you can just start Discovery at season 2, which I disagree with. I think that especially with Discovery being so heavily serialized, you need to start at 1. But
I agree as well.
it is such an anchor of the show, and he kind of, it's that thing with, I love Jason Isaacs to death, but it's a combination of the character and the performance. He is not meant to, like, he's meant to be closed off from the crew for, you know, the spoilery reasons, whatever.
Well,
but
yeah, because Discovery by story is without a strong captain figure.
Yeah,
for the entire,
pretty much by definition.
By definition of the story arc. And so when Pike arrives, you're like, oh, this is what they're all aspiring to. This is what Saru is aspiring to. This is what Burnham's aspiring to. This is what Tilly's aspiring to.
Killy too. Let's not forget Killy. Come on. Hopes and dreams of Captain.
We could get. So, and yeah, it's that thing of by design in season 1, you know, the performances are closed off, but then season 2, Mount is just elevating all the performances because he's allowed to by the story. By definition, Pike is this inspiring character and just draws everything out of them to the point where, you know, like, it's a throwaway line in episode 1, but like he mentions, oh, I miss Michael too. And it's like, I genuinely believe that because he elevated Sonequa Martin Green, and they were both performing on the level where I'm like, yeah, no, everyone was having fun on that show, and I appreciate knowing everyone was having fun.
Just I think like from Pike's first appearance, where he just had that. I think everyone loved it from the start. From again, there are no Strange New World spoilers here. We're talking about Discovery season 2. When he first came onto the bridge, and he had that right amount of authority on the bridge to charm, to just being sort of a little bit casual, which a little bit stepping away from the Jeffrey Hunter, because Jeffrey Hunter didn't really show a lot of charm and smarminess to other compatriots. It was a bit more sort of resigned, sort of like, oh, I'm tired, like, leave me alone.
What are these women doing on the bridge?
Yeah.
I'm not like you, number one. You're different.
Yeah. Never really seen you as a woman.
Yeah, even that intro scene for Pike, for Anson Mount's Pike, where he just asks everyone's name and instantly remembers everyone's name.
Shows so much. That's where I kind of went, oh, I like him. I like this guy. And previously, I think the only previous thing I'd seen Anson Mount in, wasn't Hell on Wheels. I've heard he's good in that, but I'd seen him in, unfortunately, the very terrible Inhumans, yes, which he was the best part of it, but he never said a word because he played Black Bolt, who couldn't really talk. But
I was terrified when he was cast as Pike because of that Inhuman series. I was like, oh, is Pike just going to scowl his way through the entire
and that would have fit for Jeffrey Hunter Pike. That would have been more
I was like, oh, they just want someone who's going to scowl.
I'm glad they've let him be Anson Mount a little bit.
Yeah, my first experience with Anson Mount was in the video game Evil Within 1.
Was he in that? Is he?
And he's the protagonist, and you would not be able to tell because the voice direction in that game is just so flat and emotionless, and like horror games especially, you either need to go with a super strong voice performance or a really funny one. And I'm as a big fan of Resident Evil, you need to go with one of those two extremes. And it just fell into that awful middle ground of mush. And when he was cast, I was like, wait, that guy? Ugh. But then he just instantly impresses out of the gate. It's like, oh no, before Strange New Worlds and Discovery, he just picked bad shows and things to appear in.
No, I mean, his star has risen significantly because I think a lot of people would, it's not a case of just sort of like, it's like, oh, he'll just kind of be a B actor now. He'll just be like, people go like, yeah, we love him. Like, he's got a fan following he would never have had in any other kind of franchise, possibly, unless he'd been cast in maybe something of the Disney variety. But I could see him doing, once he eventually releases his reigns on Strange New Worlds, which I think he has gone on record saying he doesn't want to do it forever. He's got a family now. He's had a child, I think, about a year or so ago. So I can imagine we'll probably get a few more years of Anson's Pike before he kind of goes like, I want to do other things, which I can't blame him, to be fair. As much as we're all like,
6 years.
Yeah. 6 years in a movie.
It's literally it's built in to the.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we go further off topic, speaking of Paramount Plus, I think everything in Star Trek in the US is now completely Paramount Plus. There's nothing else on any other platform. I believe Prime still has Picard in the UK and Europe. I'm not sure.
And Lower Decks.
And does it? I thought Lower Decks had stopped because didn't they pull Lower Decks?
That's where I watched it.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, you have to.
I actually watched it like 2 weeks ago. So.
Oh, fair enough.
Right. You have to rent the Star Trek episodes and seasons on Amazon Prime now.
Don't throw out your DVDs, guys.
Yeah, really don't.
Just don't.
If you own that TNG Blu-ray set that lost them so much money and is the reason we don't get a Voyager and DS9 upscaling,
so bad,
don't throw it away.
They did such a good job on those remasters, like better than the TOS remasters were okay. They did good stuff with the live action, but I think the CG models are terrible. But the
so much worse than the high quality bits on the string.
I would rather
not to take it away. They did amazingly on the budget they had.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that I'm one of the people that does prefer the original Star Wars VHS cut, but then again, that's me. Rather than special editions. But hey, there we are. We're not talking about Star Wars here. Let's move on. My original.
You know what?
Download the despecialized edition if you have a chance.
So good, so much better.
So I do actually. I feel like I should make up because I do love model work, and I remember watching.
Yeah.
Search for Spock, the shots on the space dock with the Enterprise backing out and then the Excelsior. And, like, my friend Katie, who I've been taking through all of Star Trek, was like, these are models? And I was like, yeah this is, like, 1984. That is incredible model work for the time.
Let me tell you about a little film called The Star Trek The Motion Picture if you want some glorious shots of the Enterprise. No.
Yeah. Whatever. But I was going to say, even in the original episode in the cage, like that shot that they do of the exterior and then into the bridge. That's still
brilliant.
Baffles me that they did that with that year. Like in 1964 they did that. That's
great.
Crazy to me.
I remember watching in the night. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying I love it when TV, TV gets looked down upon so much, but I love it when they go for like interesting cinematography on television and really try to use the full vocabulary.
That was something I'm trying to think of what it was. I was watching something the other day and they were doing this thing where they were trying to blend two people who were like on a video call or whatever. And they were trying to blend the scenes and I was like, this is not really working for me. And it just made me think of one of my favorite bits of cinematography from Discovery Season 2, actually. And it's the bit where Burnham and Tyler are having the conversation. He's on Kronos and she's on Discovery.
Oh, yeah.
And you get the shots of each of them in their respective places. And then it immediately blends the set seamlessly into it. And I was like, that's really cool.
That was really clever.
Like,
did they not? They did something similar
shot.
with Venus' conversation with Pike as well, didn't they? That was sort of a little bit half and half.
I believe
But
they
she was-
did a bit of like set melding,
Yeah.
She was literally mentally projecting herself to Pike, though, in that scene, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why you're exclusive for it. But it's like, it just as a stylistic thing, like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, going to wrangle us back on topic. On
There's
Paramount
a
Plus.
Star Trek, okay.
Yes. So, previously, Star Trek Prodigy, the Nickelodeon show, which came out exclusively on Paramount Plus, is now actually on airing on Nickelodeon. For those that don't have the streaming services and want their children to watch it but don't want to pay for a streaming service, it is now coming up on Nickelodeon on July 8th, which has already happened, so that'll be weekly. I really urge people to watch Prodigy with an open mind, but it's great. It's so visually gorgeous. It is and some of the plot lines, okay, there are the typical, these are kids in space, they're going to do kid stupid things and be a little bit immature, but some of the storylines are very Trek. I will recommend, I think it's only 8, 9, 10 episodes, something like that. At the moment, there are going to be more later this year, apparently. But yeah, would fully recommend Prodigy if you've not watched it and you're a Star Trek fan. There's some very surprising things that happen in it that will make Star Trek fans happy, and it's funny. And it's Captain Callahan. Prodigy is a pleasant surprise. You go in it with the expectation you're going to watch a kids show, and you'll come out happy because it's a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
It's the Clone Wars.
No, without like exposition dumps at the beginning of every single episode.
Yes.
It's what happens when you strip away the limitations of like how much makeup you can fit on someone's forehead.
Yeah.
Like the animation lets you like really explore the world building and do really different things with both character creation and world building. And, Prodigy is great.
I mean,
it's that kind of thing where like you guys are both part of our regular Star Trek Adventures thing where like it's tabletop, and I don't know about you guys if you have your own like campaigns that you play separately from us, but every time I make one for my friends Brody and Katie or other people, everyone instantly defaults to those aliens that you don't see on a live action show, like Aurelians or a Horta or whatever. People want to play the weird things because you never get to see them fully explored because they're expensive, and you don't have that limitation with animation. So I'm really glad that it's just such a weird crew of people with odd features and actual proper aliens, because to quote a
Murph is
Zeppler,
great.
it's like
I've seen people saying, "I want a plushy Murph. Like, I want this sitting on my desk. It's a little indestructible blob." Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, and it can feel. It can. Yeah, please go on.
I was going to say that to quote a Zeppler, it's like Star Trek can sometimes feel like a Homo sapiens only club because of just the makeup limitations, and I'm glad that we're kind of getting away from that as we get, as makeup becomes cheaper and easier to do and make it look good. But it is still a case of you do hit a wall at some point where it's like you can't keep on spending money on makeup for the extras. You have to actually, make the rest of the show.
So, just for people who are coming new to Prodigy, like it can feel sometimes like oversimplistic, and you get very frustrated with these characters because you're like, why aren't you getting this? This is like a basic. But then you have to realize it's for kids. Yeah. So these characters are going to be going through some very basic morality tale stuff, and not instantly get it. So
the one thing that surprised me, because when they first announced it, they said, and it's featuring Kate Mulgrew as Captain Janeway, or hologram Janeway in this case, which is she's a hologram guide for the children running the Protostar. And I was thinking, she'll pop in once in a while and just be the kind of helper. But no. Central to the plot has probably more voice lines than anyone else, and you just listen and come back and go, I've missed you, Captain Janeway. Like, this is awesome. Like, she really has some moments, and I won't spoil the ending because there's a bit sort of in the last episode which really made me kind of go, I want to see more of this. But I'm really happy with the amount of Captain Janeway in this.
It's basically her Picard, her Star Trek Picard.
Yeah, it kind of is in a way. Yeah,
it brings the character back with a new crew.
If anyone deserved it, I feel like it kind of was Janeway, just because her character had such a rough ride through Voyager with inconsistent writing, and it was never Mulgrew's fault. Mulgrew always gave 110%, especially in when she got an episode where she could really shine, like Counterpoint, and getting a redemptive thing where it's like, no, this is a more cohesive version of the character. Good, she deserves that. It's like, as much as I'd love Sisko to come back, like arguably his story is done, and I kind of wouldn't want it to be done without Avery Brooks. But whereas with Janeway and Mulgrew, it's like that's something I could see being explored more. And Mulgrew just has a voice that invites voice acting work. I remember she appeared in Dragon Age as a dragon, and it's like she just has the kind of voice you want to listen to a lot. Just like Patrick Stewart or Avery Brooks. You need that voice you can listen to for a long period of time, and she just has that. I don't know how would you describe it. I guess it's almost like a classic film voice. Almost.
She's very unique. Her voice is. I can see that.
Yeah. I'm glad for her.
If you haven't watched it, you'll listen out for some classic voices. Like the main villain is the guy called the Diviner, and it's played by John Noble, who you may remember from Lord of the Rings and Fringe. Absolutely, you just can't not hear his voice. He's so good. Jimmy Simpson is in it as well, if you know him from Westworld and Always Sunny in Philadelphia, playing he's been in a few things as well. They're the two main.
That's a crossover waiting to happen.
Robert Beltran comes back for it. I won't spoil why and how, but it's interesting. You got Jamila Jamil as someone else as well. There's a few surprise voices in one episode, which is an absolutely fantastic episode for any fans. And I don't think this episode's aired yet because I don't remember it, but William O'Campbell comes back as Thadian O'Connor. I think that's going to be one of the episodes that's airing later this year. I'm intrigued to see how they get O'Connor back for fucking Prodigy.
That's hilarious. That's great. That's such a pull.
Is he going to be a DJ?
Well, he was in Lower Decks, wasn't? Oh no, you might have seen that at Stars, but yeah, it's a very brief flash. You just see him as the Decks as DJ O'Connor at a Starfleet party. It was it's so bizarre. But yeah, I encourage everyone to go watch Prodigy. It's now on in Nickelodeon on July as now, so you can watch it. I don't know does Nickelodeon have a streaming service the same way? Can you do? I don't know.
I don't think so. I am not of the right age group to ask.
No, neither am I. Speaking of Kate Mulgrew, there's been a couple of articles with her lately. One of them she has speculated, and you know what happens when actors speculate? They just want to drive up a little tease. They speculated the Prodigy characters could appear in some live-action show. At some point, so I don't know whether she's just saying, Janeway's back, bitches, sometimes, but I'm kind of interested to see how they would do some of the Prodigy characters in live action, if that was the case.
We are living in a period of time in which, if they wanted to, they could have the cast of Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Prodigy, and Lower Decks all appear in live action in the same episode.
It's Generations 2, you say?
Which would you rather see? The Prodigy cast in live action?
Red alarm!
Thank you, Gandoza, for following. Thank you.
or the Lower Decks cast in live action.
Oh, I kind of want to say the Lower Decks cast because they're
Lower
pretty
Decks,
much
actually,
near. They kind of not far off from what they look like anyway. Mariner's actress. Oh, his name I forgot. Tawny Newsome is pretty much a spot for her anyway. Eugene, I forget his surname for Rutherford as well. Like they're not far off. I could see that one being the most relatable live action. Did you ever see when they launched Prodigy? Someone dressed up as Dal. The sort of like with the quiff and everything.
Oh, I think I saw with the head, yeah.
Full cosplay suit. Actually looked amazing. I think they should just do that. Just in the background, someone just go, "Ooh, look at me."
Now, counterpoint. How much do I have to pay for them to put the Star Trek Strange New Worlds cast in Lower Decks?
Ooh, that's got to happen at some point. They can easily do a flashback or
they have a holodeck.
temporal episode. Yeah, or a holodeck. That's got to happen.
Or you just have a crossover episode where Strange New Worlds just gets halfway interrupted by like Lower Decks and it turns into animation for half of the runtime.
Hell yes. Yeah, give me the puppet episode.
Just get weird with it. Get weird.
Give me the felt characters episode. Everyone is inexplicably CG now. But like
Don't
a
worry about
reboot
it.
CG or like Tron. It's really bad CG. I'd watch good. I'd pay good money for that. Kate Mulgrew has also been talking up facts about saying, I've been talking to the Voyager cast, and we're keen to come back to it. It's like very sort of vocally sort of saying things like, and she said there was a comment she said a few weeks back, like you might see a certain Admiral Janeway maybe appearing at a vineyard at some point. I'm like, okay, what are you alluding to here? Like a possible appearance on, because like a surprise not been on Picard as it is, but yeah. She's been talking a lot of game lately. There was an appearance she had as well with Sonequa Martin Green at some award show recently. And
it was a premiere, I think, for Paramount Plus. I think they were
that's
talking
right.
about
Yes, that was the UK launch. There we go. That was the one. And they were both sort of like very much talking up about female captains, and they're very much making her and Sonequa Martin Green the like kind of head figures of the new Star Trek going forward, which makes me think that Kate Mulgrew maybe have signed an extended contract somewhere to say, you could just be in everything, and we're happy for that.
Kate, get that bag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's earned it.
Big bad cash straight to my door. Put it in Robert Picardo's pizza oven and I'm there.
So, I know that the sheer fucking hubris was either instantly iconic or instantly hated by a lot of people, right? It was really divisive.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think, A, that was written for Janeway, and B, that should have been Janeway?
I honestly think it was written for Nechayev, but that's just me.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been very fitting.
I can't.
But I love that actor.
Okay, yeah, she's good. I can't see Janeway being that pissed at Picard and it fitting with the storyline. I'm glad they did it with an unknown admiral, because then at least fans aren't kind of going, well, that's not what Janeway would say. Well, that's not how she would act at that point. I think it kind of doesn't fit the Janeway character, not because she swears or gets. It's more that she gets irrationally angry with Picard without talking about it.
Oh, because she's a protagonist turned admiral as opposed to an admiral, and therefore would understand better. Mm-hmm. It's a different character dynamic. If you're a character turned admiral, then you have authority. Yeah. But if you're just an admiral, you're an asshole.
If it was Nechayev, absolutely. Put Nechayev in that scene, she goes, "Shit, fucking! I put up enough of your fucking cucumber sandwiches, Picard. Like, just get the fuck out of my office."
that ruins Picard. That ruins Picard and Nechayev's character arc. Like story arc,
maybe
being like butting heads and then slowly coming to understand one another on TNG.
I don't know.
She got tired of all the Balerian canapes that he kept on sending to the post.
I think Nechayev's actress has actually still been out at Star Trek conventions, stuff like that. I think she saw a picture of her in uniform very recently. She's bring her back. Everyone loves Nechayev. She's like probably the most, I would say, the most famous Star Trek Next Generation admiral. Maybe apart from the one from Best of Both Worlds.
Well, Hansen. Yeah, maybe Pressman, if you're a big fan of Pegasus.
I think we just had more time.
Who's the murderer?
Oh, yeah.
Who's the one that killed Data's daughter?
Haftel.
Haftel.
Haftel,
murderer
yes.
Haftel. Yeah, make her CNC. Make her, Commander Starfleet.
Yeah. Maybe we'll
Guess what? It's a more logical choice than whatever it was in the books. Was it like the kid that McCoy and Kirk helped birth?
Admiral Akar, yeah. So the kid that they raise on or give birth to, not they give birth to, but they help birth.
You read my fanfic, I see.
Yes, yeah, I've been on those sites.
It's the future.
On that one TOS episode that I have forgotten. But they grow him up and he is the CNC of Starfleet by the end, and he's kind of a major character in those relaunch books that are now completely non-canon, and thank God. I have been mulling over actually maybe starting another show, fulfilling Wednesday slot, going through those terrible books because they are an experience.
You know what?
I went through that.
If you do that, what you should do, you should just explain the plot to me and read out passages, and then I can go, why?
Yeah, no, it's batshit fucking crazy. There are things, they completely murder Sisko's character.
Viewers, Idol in the pre-show was just complaining about not having enough time in his life. But he wants to create a podcast
I can't do myself.
dedicated to terrible books.
Makes me happy, come on. Okay, so since we're segueing nicely with TNG characters, Terry Matalas, who people might know as the showrunner or producer of Star Trek Picard, has alluded to, we're well aware now, people are aware of the spoiler that came out that was that everyone's coming back for Season 3 of Picard. Gates McFadden, Jonathan Frakes, Brent Spiner, Worf, Michael Dorn, everyone is coming back with maybe the exception
Denise Crosby,
yeah, that's the one left out. Denise Crosby was left out, and Will Wheaton has been on record saying, no, I'm not going to be there, but actors lie, so then don't take the Andrew Garfield approach.
I can only imagine the deluge of with Starfleet. We don't lie. Wesley Gifts if he turns out to appear.
But yes,
obviously there's some spoiler issues here, but
we'll skirt the fine line. But Terry Matalas has alluded that there's going to be more than just that. The fact there is going to be more TNG praise, which will kind of loops back around to my Janeway discussion. Will we see Janeway coming back onto Picard at some point? Will there be DS9 characters coming in at some point? Like, bearing in mind, Season 3 is probably only going to be 10 episodes. Everyone's fear about Season 3 of Picard is they're going to overload it.
Well, this is like the thing of like Picard where it's like, and it does make me kind of wonder when we're talking about, all these Voyager casts, it's like, at what point do you start dipping into Remember Berries? At what point are you relying on the impact of Legacy? Yeah. At what point are you relying on the leverage of Legacy characters? And at what point are you doing, no, this is a logical point for the story? And I
Remember Berries are delicious.
They are. But how many of them can you stuff in your gullet before you end up like that rabbit in Wreck-It Ralph 2 and you explode?
Was not expecting that reference tonight.
Wow. That scene cracks me up every time I see it. It's so artfully dark. It's the only good part of that movie. But it is just a case of like, yeah, sure, have characters turn up if it makes sense. Like, if the story naturally takes us to the Bajoran wormhole and you want to show us like General God Queen Kira in charge of DS9, sure. But there has to be a limit, It's like, I want it to be someone off base. I want it to be someone like Nella Darren. Bring Nella Darren back. Someone... Why not? Bring Groppler Zorn back. He deserves his due.
One of the best things I saw recently, in Star Trek Online, they're running an event at the moment where you can get the jellyfish, and you have to do this event like 20 times to get the jellyfish. I saw someone running around and actually managed to make his character look like Groppler Zorn just so he could get it. I was like, yes, this is the best thing ever. That makes me irrationally happy.
That's real good.
Oh, that's like the opposite. That's the opposite of Tam Elbrun and
kind of is, isn't it?
And Gomtu.
Tin Man
like
inverted.
The odd couple ship and.
All right, so so the potential for TNG. I'm guessing they've been guest stars or recurring characters. Who are you? Some that you would potentially like to see come back?
So here's the way you could get Denise Crosby and Seela. If they tie in part of the plot line with Seela.
I always thought it was weird that between Nemesis and Picard focused on Romulus that we never got even a reference to her.
No. Big says in chats, Rolaren. That's a very good show.
Yeah. Do you think Michelle Forbes regrets not taking that Star Trek money? Because they pulled the chair out for her like 3 times.
Yeah, yes. she ended up getting a good role on Battlestar Galactica as an admiral on there. But I don't know. She's been in quite a few things. She was in 24. Oh, Well,
She's got a great. Ooh.
Captain Mackenzie Calhoun, thank you for subscribing. We love all our
Hey, very
subscribers. Red alert over. Who we talk about? No, she's been in 24. She's had quite a good few roles.
Yeah, she's had a
time.
fulfilling career, but I wonder if she because
I don't know.
It is not, with Star Trek. It's not just that you get a career boost, but it's also like I feel like almost every cast you get real close knit and they become really close friends, and it's like I don't know. I feel like it's kind of thing where if I had had the chance to do it, I would have regretted it. Like how Denise Crosby regretted like leaving in season 1 and then seeing how much better the scripts got. You know.
Yeah, especially when you go off and do other genre projects.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure people leave these things thinking, I don't want to be typecast as the sci-fi person, and then you end up going off and doing fantasy sci-fi, like, for all your other projects.
Yeah.
She was in True Blood and in Battlestar Galactica.
You know,
You are that actor.
But yeah,
I
go on.
Well, I'm excited to see the main cast come back because the best episode of the first season of Picard was Nepenthe, the episode that he spent with Riker and Troy and Kestra, Troy Riker on that planet.
And Troy was the best written she's been in 20 years.
Yeah. Finally turns around and gives Picard some shit. Like, you're full of crap, Picard. Literally says it to his face. And I was like, yes, go girl.
Bit of that British coming out.
Oh yeah, yes. Not the weird Eastern European, or not the weird European accent she was trying to do in season 1. Like, hello, I am the Chancellor. No, I'm the fucking Chancellor.
But there you'll get your Lower Decks character.
Oh yeah,
from, with Captain Sonia.
Oh, Sonia
Lizzie
Gomez.
Gomez.
Yeah, that could happen.
Definitely, like,
fuck it,
another poll.
O'Connor. He's coming in Prodigy. Let's get him in Picard.
Bring back Aquiel.
Okay, let's go for all the haunted love affairs. Aquiel, Salia. Let's get Salia in.
Ronan. Yeah, let's get Ronan.
Ronan, yeah.
Pumpkin Johnson.
Yeah.
Can we get that woman that Riker had to vaporize in front of Picard and he didn't react?
Wait, what was that?
Oh no.
The bioengineered virus woman with the weird hair.
Yeah.
Oh!
Tuta, right?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Oh, my brain is completely evaporated on this. Oh, Shelby. Shelby's a good... Oh, Utah. Which one was that?
Shelby.
Was she
Yeah,
the-
Shelby would be cool to bring back.
It was the warring factions, there's like feuding clans, and one had been reduced to just
Was
almost
she
like
the one with the psychic
person
powers? After all, or she was... No? Am I thinking... I'm getting...
No, she was engineered so that she would pass on a virus.
Clantra Lester.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Big, in chat, for doing that one. Leah
you
Brahms is also a good choice. Thank you, Ranarian, for that one. Leah Brahms would be...
The real one or the holodeck version?
Why not both?
Oh, exactly.
You know what? I feel like that's a lower decks bit waiting to happen. Someone just like has like a data transfer from the Enterprise, and they find like a horny, clippy version of Leia, and it's like, get that out of here. Just the computer did a weird one on that.
Ranarian says Leah Brahms divorces her husband and winds up with Geordie. Oh, please no.
Don't do this.
Let's not do that.
I
'cause
really.
that's-
It was one of the things I don't like about All Good Things is the fact that they make that canon. I'm like, no,
Well,
don't
they
do
do
this.
just say Leah. They don't necessarily.
Yeah, but who
we
else
don't
do
like
they
that.
mean?
I like that.
Not when they're the entire point of Galaxy's Child is that like Geordie has to unlearn his creepy behavior, and even then they don't 100% stick the landing because of the weird apologies she has to give him for finding his advances on her creepy.
Yeah.
You know, incels deserve love too.
Can you imagine if someone came up to you and said, like, oh, I've written all this fan fiction about you, look, and I drew some pictures, and you'd be like, no, stop, go, I'm calling the police now. You should
Don't seal the door, please.
they do Geordie wrong.
A little
I
bit,
feel like Geordie did not have the best romantic
didn't deserve
writing
it.
in
Didn't
that
deserve
show.
it. Because you know, he's a good engineer. He's a nice guy. Like that
Not nice guy TM, but an actual nice guy.
Yeah, he has to ask Worf for dating advice at one point. Like, let them see the fire.
Let her see the fire in your eyes.
Oh, poor.
Well,
Geordie.
yeah. If we ever get onto once we get the generation stuck, I have like a whole speculation about Geordi and Data's relationship. But...
we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get
Okay,
there.
Stars. This one's for you. What do you hope for Worf? Now they have already confirmed that it will be Worf as depicted in TNG. They're not going to redo his makeup. It will be.
They're
Worf
not
as
gonna.
Worf.
They're not gonna do that.
Where do you think he is? What is he going to be? Is he going to be Chancellor of the Klingon Empire? Is he going to be Monk on Boreth? Is he?
The Chancellorship is not for him. Honestly, I feel like there's a few different ways they could take his character, and I wouldn't mind it. I would like him to have a repaired relationship with Alexander, because I did not like... It was okay where they left it in DS9, but it was okay, but I was never a big fan of the fact that they regressed that relationship just to redo it in a way that I didn't like as much as the way they did it in TNG. Because I really just love... what is it? It's not Firstborn, is it? Rightful... It's the one where Alexander Kim Tar comes back and he and Alexander teach.
Season 7,
Yeah, it's
6, 7.
Yeah, because I get it mixed up with that one with Picard's fake son, because they do a lot of family-focused episodes in season 7.
That's just terrible.
Yeah, that's real bad.
That's season 7. That's the season 7 where they just go through family things. Every episode is just something about their family.
Every single one. Yeah, but the Kim Tar one actually lands partly because they James Sloyan, I think, plays Kim Tar and does such a good job in the role. So I want, if they're going to do that, like have his relationship with Alexander be really healthy and loving. I wouldn't mind it if he'd made captain, because I feel like he's like earned it despite that stuff in DS9. I feel like that was kind of an unfair snub. I wouldn't mind him being in a place in the Klingon Empire, but I don't feel like... That was the thing with Worf, was that he was incredibly Klingon, but also not, and he never really was at home there. I feel like he even said in DS9 the place he felt the most at home was on the Enterprise. So
yeah,
I don't know. There's a few other places for it. I don't mind as long as he's like. I just don't want them to have unnecessarily killed off another legacy character for a cheap emotional impact, which they have gotten into a habit of doing.
So. Semi-non-canon novel. There was a prequel novel to the Picard series, which sort of breaks down the sort of gap between Nemesis and the Picard season 1 in a few fine details. One of the things established there, and it's kind of semi-canon until proven otherwise. Basically, it goes into the details like what Raffi was doing and things like that, and until they turn around the show and go, "This is different. It might as well be canon." But one of the things they did do on that was Worf was promoted to captain of the Enterprise because he was made first officer.
I'm perfectly happy with that.
So that's he could particularly be, and that might fulfill Michael Dorn's fantasy of finally getting a Captain Worf series, which he's been trying to do for like 20 years now.
He wants that bag, okay? And I don't blame him. But as much as I love Worf, like, he has been in more episodes of Star Trek than any other character. Even as someone who absolutely adores Worf, I feel like it would have to have a strong concept and something other. I mean, maybe for some people it would fill that, because I feel like a lot of people have been saying, you know, Strange New Worlds is the return to episodic Trek that people have been wanting, but they want it set in the 24th/25th century, and I guess that would fulfill that hole in people's lives, but I don't know.
Yeah, you know how Marvel's been doing like loads of series that are just literally like 6 episodes, 7 or 6 to 8 episodes, just really short, like half an hour
that'd be
things,
fine.
like Miss Marvel and all the like a Warp series like that, a mini series like they did. There was talks back in the 90s of them doing a Sulu series like that on the Excelsior. I'm sure you probably read about this or know about this. Such a tragedy. It didn't happen.
I was on the verge of producing a fan film series about the Excelsior era of Sulu. And then the fan market fell apart.
Well, yeah.
No, it's oh yeah, that's
Thanks,
true.
Axanar.
Yeah, Axanar ruined everything, didn't they? I don't know. There may be an avenue for you yet. But yeah,
I wouldn't mind a short, limited series of it. But like, it's just a case of at this point, I am kind of seeing the thing of let's get some new characters in, because one of the things I love most about Picard was Rios and stuff like that. So like, you know, I know certain things. I'm not going to say anything. But I feel like I've already spoiled it, but whatever. He ain't dead, alright?
Was a great character. Rios was a great character they introduced.
Rios was such a good character.
Anyway, he's alive. He's fine.
Yeah, we won't.
No one can kill him and his love for cigars.
Actually, thinking about it, I would like them to move away from Romulans in general, because we've had a lot of that lately. there's not much more they can kind of do with the Romulans now you've blown up their
the amount of Klingon stuff we've had
True.
done. Like,
True.
there's a lot of Romulan, especially like with how they've been delving into it in Discovery with Navarre. I feel like there's still a lot of mileage to be gotten out of Romulans.
Okay, guys, would you like a Kelvinverse Film 4 update? One of many that have happened lately.
Sure.
Is it happening?
Well, kind of. So the latest drama was that Paramount went, yes, it's happening. We're ready, or Viacom, Paramount, whoever owns the rights now. Yes, it's happening, and we've signed all the cast. To which the cast kind of went, huh? What? Okay. Well, Chris Pine came out and went, yeah, I'm up for it. But I think everyone else just kind of went, well, what am I filming right now? Okay. And I believe a lot of them are kind of gone, yeah, we'll do it when the schedules align. But I believe that
I'll open up my wallet, and if money happens to fall into it, I'll turn up.
Yeah. But they are now saying it's going to be produced back again by J.J. Abrams, which gives me the pause for thought to kind of go, oh, please no. Because
can we not get Justin Lin back? He did such a good job.
He did such a good job. Yeah, and they kind of want to talk about making it more a multi-year project. I believe the new head of Paramount, Brian Robbins, I think his name is now kind of got. He's the guy that's turning around and going, let's push everything Star Trek. Let's do this. Let's really sort of expand the franchise, even the Kelvinverse stuff. And he's saying, yeah, people want Kelvinverse films, which I'm not entirely opposed to, but it does seem a bit strange to do it because I am so sorry, guys. I'm very, very sorry, but it has been 13 years since Star Trek 09. That's a long time. We are now getting into motion picture.
I'm looking at my camera feed, and I can see the grey hairs appearing, like I'm in the deadly years.
So just aging, like,
On the other hand, time heals all wounds. So the more distance
but
we
on
get
the other hand, time is the fire in which we burn. So...
And on the other hand, time is a companion that goes with us on the journey. There's a lot of adages about time in Star Trek, including the fact that we don't have time to talk about time. We don't have the time. Now, counterpoint. I don't necessarily think we need another Kelvin movie. Like, I would be fine with it if it happens, especially if it's done more like Beyond. What I would want, and what I think there is, what would probably be way cheaper and probably more in line with what fans might actually want, is a what's her name, Jaina from Beyond?
Yes.
Yeah.
Make her the star of a new series set in the Kelvin universe.
It's interesting. I've often theorized whether they would do a Kelvinverse series.
Why not?
Would it?
Yeah, it would be hard to explain, especially with Strange New Worlds airing directly alongside it. But I feel like most people would be like, They've made like 3 references to the fact that there's an alternate timeline going on. They kind of been embracing it a lot more in Discovery and like that, mentioning, that happened. That is canon to our thing. So at this point, I liked her a lot.
I like the idea of them producing a Star Trek series that is unbound by canon, where they can kind of just go and do whatever they want. That's kind of appealing to me.
Well, I mean, that's Discovery, right? Like,
yeah,
because of the multiverse and the time travel, like you're really unbound by canon. But that character was great. Sofia Boutella's star was really rising at that time. She had done Kingsman. She did that role.
She
really should be a bigger. Well, I was going to say she was doing really well until Tom Cruise decided to destroy her career.
He does that. He's good at that.
Yeah.
You can only go so far with Scientology. Anyway, I shouldn't say this. I shouldn't say that question so close to a
now
Top Gun film.
You've screwed the stream now.
The channel's destroyed. Next stream is going to be like, this is how Scientology destroyed my life, and then it got worse.
You're so worried about using copyrighted music, and then you had to go and piss off the Scientologists.
Anyway, next week
I
we'll
feel
be
like
giving
that'd be
Eaton
nice.
readings.
I feel like that would scratch the itch of like another episodic show set in Kelvin, way cheaper, with an entirely original cast apart from Jayla, and then you can maybe afford to have Carl Urban show up as Admiral McCoy with some bad aging.
Carl Urban is not worried about cash. He will turn like he went from Judge Dredd to that one series. What was it? I forget it was the futuristic cop show that was actually quite good.
Oh, almost human.
Almost Human. Yeah, I enjoyed that, and then they cancelled it. and then
Yeah, that
went
was a
to
good
that
show.
to then doing The Boys. So like Carl Urban's up for anything. I think he's the one person you can go, if I need him as Bones, he'll be there. Like he did. Like I haven't even signed anything. Here's my uniform. I would like a Kelvinverse 4 film, but I'd like them to do the jump to motion picture, probably Wrath of Khan for most people, or to do that jump to like the older crew, because it has been a jump. When was Beyond? That was 2016, wasn't it? So
6 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking six years. You know,
Oh
might as
yeah,
well be.
they should definitely be in the Monster Maroons for the.
No, they should be in the motion picture
No,
jumpsuits.
no, they should start. They should start the movie off folding up the motion picture jumpsuits and like putting them in a drawer and then trying on the Monster Maroon. Like that's where we should come in.
The thing is, I mean, they've
That's
kind
alright,
of
I'm
hit
alright with that.
upon. They've kind of hit upon a lot of the movie concepts in, because Into Darkness, for all its faults, did do Wrath of Khan stuff. Beyond did do the Destruction of the Enterprise as per Star Trek 3. So is it are we going to do the Voyage Home, but with the Kelvinverse crew? It's a good cheap
Pick
way
another
of doing
endangered species. Pick
Yeah.
another endangered
Gormaganders.
species.
Yes.
Gormaganders.
Gormaganders, yes. We need to save the wombats? Okay. Let's go.
Well, I'll say the one thing that the Kelvin Universe movies did really well, and this ties back to our Prodigy conversation, was the alien makeup designs were amazing.
Yeah,
Like,
especially
they really
for the
went
third
for
movie,
it.
the Ensign with the head ridges.
Oh, yeah.
The idea that lost to Suicide Squad is a fucking crime, man.
God, that was
It wasn't even
terrible.
nominated, was it?
No, what a snub! Like that make glorious. Ugh, awful. Fuck the Oscars.
Okay, so that's, you know, there is, but the thing is, like, I think you stars, you've lamented on this before. There is always rumblings about a Kelvinverse film. There will always be, until like Pine or Christ, what's Spock actor's name?
Zachary Quinto.
Quinto, thank
Quinto.
you. My brain's not working tonight. Until like one of them decides I'm retiring from acting forever, there will always be those rumors of, yeah, we're doing a Kelvinverse film. So take all that with a grain of salt. How much do you guys like podcasts? I love podcasts. I'm a big podcast guy.
I'm more of an audiobook kind of guy, but I like listening to things.
Yeah. So Nicholas Meyer has been trying to get his Khan show going.
That's the I only read books of the 21st century right there, stars. I don't watch TV. I only read books. I don't listen to podcasts. I just listen to audio.
Audiobooks, sorry. Audiobooks. I listen to audio dramatization.
I'm gonna pull out my cigarette holder.
So Nicholas May has been trying to get a Khan show going he's been very vocal on, I think, Instagram and various other places too, talking about my prospects for a Khan show, and this is rumblings that they were going to do a SETI Alpha 5 show, which everyone kind of went, no, please don't, because we don't want it. Has now come out and said that, yeah, maybe it's going to be a podcast. From that, I'm like, yeah, fill your boots. That's for
fine.
it. Yeah, go for it. I still can't work out what more they can do with Khan in any other format, because the only thing I can think of is the eugenics wars. Because anything
Well, no,
on SETI Alpha
it's an
5 will be
today
boring as fuck. It'll just be like,
Why?
today I was
Wait,
on
wait,
the
wait.
dust.
Why would City
SETI
Alpha 5 be boring?
Be boring. Yeah.
Boring.
Because either they're on the Paradise Planet and he's there with Marla living the happy life until the planet explodes, and then he's just in the desert with the bugs.
Yeah,
you do
no
it.
one's ever written an interesting story about a desert planet with weird indigenous wildlife and a morally dubious protagonist. No one's ever gravitated towards that.
That show writes itself. I completely disagree with you. Like, you had the
Yeah,
first
you can
season.
make it really tragic and
Yeah.
make Joachim like a really interesting character.
Okay.
You
That's
do a
all
lost
fine.
thing. They're on the planet. It's a garden paradise in the first season. You do lost like flashbacks to the eugenics wars.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
You fit into the canon. Like, everything's underground, shadow government. So all the canon freaks won't can relax about it being, if you make it a 90s period piece, the eugenic wars. So it's all
Yeah.
happening
For some reason,
underground
Ray
during the
Robinson
90s.
appears.
Yeah.
Okay, but the big question is, who do you get to play Khan? Who has Ricardo Montalban's prowess at pulling
Well,
the
I tell you
character?
who you don't get.
You don't get Benedict Cumberbatch. No.
You do not get Benedict Cumberbatch. No.
You get the star of RRR, the second highest grossing Hollywood film
Ah,
of all time.
what's that? I'm lost.
Do you not know about RRR?
What's that?
This movie that's like, it's this crazy Hollywood film that's on Netflix and sweeping the world.
Oh, really?
With,
No, I've not heard this.
It's the most outlandish movie you could possibly imagine. But yeah, you get the star of that movie to be Khan.
No, it's also like for context, when they were doing radio adaptations of the James Bond books, they got Toby Stephens, who played Gustav Graves in Die Another Day, to play Bond, and guess what? He was great. It's podcasting. It's all about the voice.
True.
If you can get whoever you want to play, obviously you would probably want to try and cast more accurately so that you don't have anyone trying to put on an unfortunate accent. But like, there are so many good, talented voice actors out there that can give it a shot. Why not? Like, and also, with it being a podcast, it's literally that thing we were talking about with animation, where there is no need to worry about budget. Just have it be described.
Yeah. Yeah, it just depends on... Do you think this is just Nicholas Meyer being like, I'm trying to get this working in every avenue and Paramount shut me down and my only hope is just doing... Because anyone can do a podcast. All he has to do is pay for the CBS license and just get a few actors in a room like with a good script. Like, I say, that's all. Like, I've done it, but...
Yeah, well, obviously it's his pitch to get it made into a live action. Like, if the podcast works, it's easy enough to adapt the...
I'm personally glad that it's not being produced as a series, because I think there are better things that could be done with Star Trek's time and budget, personally. And revisiting Khan for the 19th time is a bit tedious.
What is Nicholas Meyer's batting average with Star Trek movies?
What's he done? He's done was obviously
2, 3,
Wrath
and
of
6.
Khan. Yeah, Wrath of Khan and Undiscovered Country, undoubtedly flawless. Search for Spock.
Did
fine.
he? Oh, he didn't do 3. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He worked on it, but he didn't direct it. Yeah.
2 and 6. He's batting 1,000. Nicholas Meyer saved this franchise in the 80s. It was going into the dustbin of history, and then Nicholas Myers was like, let's dye these uniforms red, and let's go.
True.
That's what Nicholas Myers does for you.
No, not disputing his legacy, not putting any shade in the guy and what he's done, but what I am thinking is maybe he's taking that success maybe a little too far and thinking like, wow, this is the stuff that works, and maybe I should just do more with that. Maybe not. Like, I think he had a hand in discovering
The power of Nicholas Myers, absolutely.
Yeah.
The man who wrote a Sherlock Holmes novel.
Oh, hang on. My internet is crapping out a little bit. Oh. Can stream hear me? Or is everything just dead? No. Hello? Can you guys hear me? Are you there?
Should I log out as well and come back in?
I'm waiting for Idle to come back.
No, I'm here. I'm here now. Can you hear me?
Oh, boy.
Ooh,
Wouldn't be...
It really wouldn't. So I'm still here, but these guys are not. So fantastic. I've got the show to myself. Haha. Okay. Stream can hear me, so it's just Stars and Shy. This is good for our first episode. We have technical problems. Wonderful. Guys, hang on. Let me just do some...
Hey, Stream, what is he saying?
Is he saying that we're right about... Oh, there he is.
You've reconnected yet? I've got no stars. Okay, we're getting there. Stars, your video's not on yet, but it's getting there.
It is, but that's fine.
Oh, there we go. We're there. We're back. Okay, anyway, before we get into more arguments about legacy producers of this amazing show that we love, and me possibly being wrong, can I bring us down to a bummer? We've got two very sad announcements. The first one, Gregory Jean, model maker for Star Trek, who worked on such things as Phase 2 motion picture and was a model maker for Star Trek all the way through Voyager. Sadly, it's passed away at the age of 76. And for anyone that isn't unaware of him, like, he is pretty much been the design elements for some of the basic designs, like the Enterprise, a lot of the Starbase designs, things like that. It's sort of a very sort of tragic thing, and not just Star Trek as well. He's sort of been a very prolific model maker throughout all of science fiction television. So sad news. Other sad news as well. Actor Gregory Itson, who you might not know by name, but you will have seen him in very numerous roles throughout all of Star Trek, from Enterprise, Voyager, and Deep Space Nine. Gregory Itson played Captain Sopek from Enterprise and Admiral Black, Dr. Dissect from Voyager, Hayne and Elon Tandro in DS9. People might know him more familiar from 24, who played President Logan, or the very sort of scrupulous dealer in that series as well. So very sadly, he's passed away recently as well. So tragic. Like I think Gregory Itson was one of those ones that was kind of like the Vaughan Armstrong and Jeffrey Combs. He appeared in several forms if you needed sort of like a slimy background, a slimy sort of character to be the antagonist of a series. But yeah. And
it's just. Well, I was about to say that we were talking about animation and like the CGI on Trek, especially nowadays, is like something to behold. But there is something about model making and like that art is kind of hard to. The actual physicality of it is something that cannot be taken away. And when you see a great model maker pass, it just kind of. It's that feeling of in Wrath of Khan, where like it's like I can feel time passing me by, and it's like the idea that someday we may lose that profession and that ability and that art form because all the great masters are past. Like that genuinely makes me really sad.
Yeah,
and I know that it's very rare that you get model work, like proper model work done nowadays. Like it's just so much cheaper and more easy to do CGI. But it's just something about it that, especially because it's where the we were talking about the shots from the cage, like that's where this series came from, and the idea that we're going to lose those people, like like God knows what's going to happen when the Okudas pass, because they are so integral to the show. This show, it bums me out, but at least they leave behind a long legacy.
Yeah, the model work definitely lends longevity to your artwork, your project. I mean, look at the two contemporary projects that came out, like DS9 and Babylon 5. Everyone probably knows the famous story that basically Babylon 5 was pitched to Paramount, and then they just stole it and made DS. But if you go back and watch now, Babylon 5 was all CGI special effects, and they've aged horribly. Whereas DS9 looks as fresh as as a daisy.
Well, it would
yeah,
be
like even the CGI scenes that they did do,
Yeah.
It would be nice. Even the CGI scenes that they did do, because like they're shot like really well, and they have the actual models to rely on. They aren't, like they would have been scanned in from actual models of, say, like the Galaxy class or the Defiant. Because I think they did use a model for the Defiant for most of the runtime. Like that physicality and that process of having to create it by hand adds something to the process, adds that physicality.
Having that reference is really important, and we'll get into this when we talk about Generations. Like they reuse the Excelsior model for the Enterprise B, but they created a CGI version for some of the Nexus sequences, and it blends seamlessly because they have that reference model to look at the CGI design.
I think
absolutely,
I think if you said to me, like, looking at modern CG, like even Discovery of Strange New Worlds, I look at them and goes, yeah, that's a beautiful CG shot. But I look at some of the old, and I know I go on about it, but the motion picture, and I look at like some of the shots they've done for that using entirely model work, no CG, and even in the Next Generation, and there's a clarity to it, and almost realism to it as well. Like that is real light shining off. Like as good as ray tracing and path tracing is, there is still nothing quite good for the eyes, because your brain knows when it's being fed false information. You have that instinct in you to be aware. That's why there's such a thing called the uncanny valley. When something's CG, and I think it's just models are more impressive, which is why I kind of love Lord of the Rings as well. Lord of the Rings used a lot of model work, and it shows. It really does show, as much as it does have its own fair share of dodgy CGI. It using actual miniatures and just lighting them just right. Matte paintings as well. A lot of people say and talk shit. Matte paintings done wrong is horrible, but when they do them right, they're iconic. Stunning. You don't know.
If you think of like, was it Starbase 11, like that shot of pretty much the building on the planet, like that's iconic. Like, it's a matte painting. Yeah, you can instantly know what it is, but your brain is like, man, that looks good.
Yeah,
it's just...
Starbase 1, when you get this shot of the Enterprise going to Starbase 1, and even in the Next Generation, you got the overhead shot in Season 1 of them going into the Starbase. There has never been a finer scene, and they just look so good. But not that I'm dissuading CG. CG can do some amazing stuff, but there's something in my brain
it's
just knows that like there's something about like the composited lightning on a physical model kind of just looks more realistic. I don't know why.
One of my favorite modern genre films is Interstellar, and Nolan was very insistent on doing all practical effects, or as much as
Yeah.
he possibly could. And that movie looks stunning, and it will just last forever because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like we have to make the distinction that when we're talking about this difference, like to a large degree, it's stylistic. Like for some instances, it's also a budgetary concern. And in both instances, it is a presentation. Like, you know, in both instances, we know it's not real. We know we're not watching an actual USS Enterprise because it's fiction. We're all grown adults. We can process that. But it is just a case of it does do something for the brain. And like you said, there are disadvantages to model work as well. There are shots that you literally cannot do with model work. Like, if I think about some of the scenes in like Strange New Worlds, like no spoilers, there is stuff in there that you could not have done with our model.
Well, even season
by
2
that
Discovery,
definition,
the finale of Discovery season 2 would just not have been possible.
would be impossible
at
to do
all.
with
Like,
models.
when
You
you
would
got
not-
those
you could
Section
not.
31 ships as they're peeling all the drones away, like, nah, you'd have had to have a Jim Henson budget to do that.
Yes, absolutely. But it's just that thing of like when you hear of a legend like this dying, it's just a case of I worry that like the industry is going to lose those skills because it is a case of like I was reading a thread on Twitter about the preservation of one of Marilyn Monroe's dresses and how it was made out of a particular kind of silk that is like no one knows how to replicate that effect anymore from like 50s Hollywood because no one who worked in the costuming is alive anymore to tell you how they do it. And it's like when that dress was like damaged because it was used by an irresponsible celebrity, suddenly that's a piece of history that is now lost to time. Essentially, it's not going to last. And that's a very real, tangible thing that can happen when these other older techniques of filmmaking fall out of favor because of budget reasons, and then suddenly like, well, there's something to be lost there. We need to remember our history as it is.
Luckily, these days, we have YouTube and the internet, so we're not as lost as we were. As long as we can keep those servers
Not
up,
as
we
much,
do have...
yes.
It's not like the Romans, where the Romans were making buildings out of like materials that we can't replicate because that information is in a language that is long dead. So, yeah. So, very sad for Gregory Jean, a true master of the art as well. And like you say, hopefully his work will be lauded in the future as well. Where shall I go on my notes for the next thing while Shai is returning? Okay, Discovery Season 5 is filming. Announced by... I cannot remember
Michelle
anyone's
Paradise?
names today.
Michelle Paradise, she's the showrunner.
Her, yes, but I was thinking of Saru's actor. Oh my god.
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones.
How could you
thank
forget?
No, it's not. My brain's just not working with names today. I've always been terrible at
fair
that. But both announced that yes, season 5 of Discovery has started. So, and Sarah, do you know? Every time I read SMG, I think Sarah Michelle Gellar, not Sonika Martin Green, and that is doing my
I think
head
it's some machine gun, but maybe that's because I play a lot of first-person shooters.
in. One of us is the Quake fan. Yes, but Sonika Martin Green also announced that Tilly is coming back. For those Tilly fans, that there will be some more Tilly in season 5 of Discovery. Worry you not. In what capacity, we don't know. But yeah, I mean, I'm eagerly anticipating. You've not watched season 4, and we won't spoil it for that regards. But
I've heard that she is in a slightly reduced role, and there's speculation that
Yeah.
it may be to do with a pregnancy or because she is getting other roles. Because guess what? Everyone who is on Discovery is immensely talented, and people are realizing they're immensely talented, and they're like, "Can we?
yeah.
No, come on, yeah."
But without spoiling things, season 4 was very good. I preferred season 3. I know you've not watched it, Stars. So I'm excited for season 5. I wonder if they're going to keep switching the captains out because for those that don't know, obviously we have Burnham as the captain for season 4. With previously, obviously we have had Lorca, then Pike, then Saru, then Burnham. So I wonder if they're going to carry on that tradition and we get Linus the Saurian as captain of season 5.
Only if we get Admiral Burnham, because I will not stand for her being demoted.
Could you imagine the rage from the people that already hate Discovery?
I'm luxuriating in the thought of it, of seeing her with the Admiral stripes, and like, that's gonna get some 50-year-old men angry. Yeah.
So that's happening. On another note as well, a slight little leak for you, but there is a famous villain that will be, and again, this is no spoiler, this is just the stuff that's come out in news, and this is a storyline that might happen. a famous villain is coming back for Strange New Worlds Season 2 in the form of the Klingons, which is going to be interesting because there was a shot shared by Instagram by one of the potential actors wearing more traditional Klingon makeup, very sort of subdued ridges, not the whole shebang that they did in Season 1 and 2 of Discovery. Which is interesting.
Well,
I kind of wish they'd stick to their guns maybe a little bit, but we'll have to see what form that comes in.
No, I mean, but they should be able to have all sort of varieties of Klingons. This is a race that revels in genetic manipulation of their own species,
and that is spread out amongst multiple quadrants and is interbreeding. Like, they can look however they want.
Yeah, folks, look at your screen right now. We don't look alike, the three of us.
Hang on, let me say my glasses.
There's species variation within like a species is a normal, natural thing.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I loved about Picard Season 1. Like, you talk about how they developed the Romans lifestyle. The normalization of, you Northerners with your head ridges and us Southerners without... Yeah. I thought that was hilarious. It's like, well, of course they look different. They come from different planets. Like, we look incredibly different from each other, and we live on the same freaking planet. Like everyone can look different. And it's like, I'm especially interested in the revelation that we're going to be getting, because this is not a spoiler for Season 1 of Strange New Worlds. No one even said... So I think the word Klingon is said 3 times, and it's in relation to an entirely different species and a different map of negotiation, so no spoilers. This is related to a character on Strange New Worlds' personal trauma that was alluded to in Season 1, but has not been given depth. And given that character has a whole conversation with another character about prejudices, I'm really interested to see where they take that sort of storyline.
You could be talking about Kira Nerys here. Like,
I watched all of
You mean one of the best storylines? One of the best storylines in all of Star Trek.
Not denying.
Like that relationship that she has with all of with Maritza and with what's his name? The leader of the dissident movement. He's such a good actor. Oh god, I'm blanking out his name.
Shakar?
Her father figure.
Oh,
no, her father figure, the Cardassian.
Fuck. From Second Skin.
Yeah, he's awesome. Not Maritza, not Galdar Heel. What is it? Someone help me!
No, I refuse to memory out for it. My brain will kick in a minute. Chat will get it in a second.
I can literally picture his face right now. But it's like the idea that we could get something of that depth with the character in Strange New Worlds.
Kenny Gamore! Thank you, Big.
To Kenny Gamore! There we go. Yeah, no, he's a great character. Yeah. The idea that we could get something of that depth in Strange New Worlds, and like, especially in light of this intermediary period in between the hot war of Discovery and the Cold War aspect of TOS, like, maybe we'll even see Laurel come back. I'd be down for that. Tyler is still around in this timeline as well. We could easily see more of those characters come back.
Yeah, what is he up to anyway?
I'd be interested.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, that was lengthy. I wasn't expecting to talk as much about news, but that's pretty much there's some comics and shit coming out. Keep an eye on it. Didn't notice I've skipped through and deleted some of our notes the longer this show has got. Right, let's go on to our feature point. So back in 1994, the film that was to define a generation.
The year I was born.
Was it really?
Oh,
wow!
Yeah.
Lord. Good Lord.
This is why you picked this, to make us feel old. I remember going to the cinema.
I didn't even realise. That's hilarious.
Wow. The film that defines the bridge. Red Arian. I'm not saying that on stream. That defines the gap between the original series and the Next Generation, from coming straight off a film that was written during season 6 of the Next Generation. For those that didn't know, it was planned very early on that yes, we were going to go on and do Next Generation films. Star Trek Generations we're going to kind of go over, because like you say, Stars is probably one people don't talk about as much as you can say an underdog in Star Trek films is probably one of them.
I would say so. Like up there with like Search for Spock. Like Search for Spock is basically because there's a footnote in between 2 and 4 as the fan favorites, but it's like Generations has it even worse because it's not really connected to other films either side of it, really.
So obviously we're not going to just go and run off the film because you guys have seen this film hundreds of times. Absolutely, you have. You haven't just skipped to the end scene and gone, "Oh, wow, that was good." Watch these starships zoom off.
I do rewatch these movies in full. Actually, I'm a completionist. Like when I like watch things, I watch them all the way through. So yeah, I've rewatched it many times.
No, do you know what? I kick myself because as much as I say I really like Insurrection, I do think I could watch it more. But no, Generations is one I've probably watched quite a few times. Stars, do you want to kind of take us off to where you notable things you want to mention about this film, since you were the one that brought it up for our scheduled watching, and you have just literally you were late coming in, just saying
off the
I
presses.
just finished watching it.
Yes. Yes, I took some notes for some, but like this is a very mixed bag. And this was written while they were writing All Good Things, and you can tell that some of that
as well.
finale juice is a bit diluted because it feels like a bit of a second finale for a series that had already ended so well with All Good Things.
Would you like a fun fact? Would you like a fun fact?
What's
Because
that?
they actually wrote Generations and All Good Things kind of the same time, and I forget who it was that mentioned it. They actually said, "Yeah, we should have swapped them and made All Good Things the film and made Generations the finale." Because some people saying,
it wouldn't have required that much changing around.
No, they said we made All Good Things. We got it the wrong way around. We should have done it that way around. I was like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because I think this would have been a fine. Yeah, it's literally perfect. You can't. There's like one or two minor little quibbles here and there, but they're quibbles.
Leah.
So, it's a bit of a mixed bag. There is some writing problems. There's like one or two things that don't fit together. And here's like an example of the rough with the smooth, right? You have the first 15 minutes of the movie, the Enterprise B section. And I feel like if you ripped that section out of the movie and released that today as a short trek and said, this is the canon death of James T. Kirk, it would stand completely on its own merits. Oof. I think that sequence is super tight. It's incredibly thematically strong. It's a really good exemplar of growth for Kirk, showing how he's grown from taking command from Decker in the motion picture, learning about accepting a no-win scenario in Wrath of Khan, and Spock's solution for that.
I mean, that's
like,
my dream.
The growth he goes through.
That's my dream, is just to see them do short treks in like the motion picture or the film era of getting those classic uniforms back. Like that'd be a dream of mine. That'd be awesome. Sorry, carry on.
No, absolutely. But it's so thematically tight and such a good growth of character, and I think it's bittersweet because I think I was talking to Brody while I was watching it, and it says so much about Starfleet that Montgomery Scott, miracle worker, he, in the most adverse of conditions, with a starship without photon torpedoes, a sick base staff, or a tractor beam. He's like, I only got a 47 out of 150. It's like, you're a fucking hero. You got 47 when you could have gotten none. It's like, it's tinged with bittersweet, but you guys did everything you could in the situations that you had. That being said, is it the single most egregious? We're the only ship in range in the quadrant.
Having just
in Star Trek.
Earth. I don't know what
you
that's
literally were in the space dock 5 minutes ago, and you're telling me there's not a single ship within range? Fuck off. Just actually, really, you're the only ship in range. That's the one where I'm like, Now, I feel like we're probably all going to be on an even keel here. Give me your thoughts on Captain John Harriman. Because I'm of the opinion that he's the unjustified butt monkey of Enterprise captains.
Yeah, I think it's unjustified.
Yeah.
On the rewatch, he's unsure, he's a little nervous, but you know what? He's not incompetent. Like the phenomenon appears, and instantly he throws out two suggestions. One of them's not going to work because of interference, and the other one, they tried it doesn't work. He's not just like he jumps into action.
He also
is like, he's pretty logical about it. He's like, we're the only ship in range. Guess we're doing it then. We have our pants down. We don't have half our stuff, but we're still doing it.
He
that's
does also
know
when to defer to someone with more experience. He turns around and goes, well, not necessarily seniority, just more of the experience. Goes, Captain Kirk, can you help us? Like, We need your expertise.
Yeah.
He knows enough to go, not to do the bravado. I was like, other captains would be like, I'm the captain of the Enterprise. Now I know exactly how to handle this, and trying to bluff their way through. He just kind of goes, no, part of command is knowing when to delegate when needed. And you could be onto something there that maybe...
In fact, not to give spoilers, but there is an episode of Strange New Worlds that deals with the ability to say that other captain had the right idea.
Yeah, indeed.
And guess what? Pride is such a strong and intoxicating emotion. And the fact that Harriman doesn't fall prey to it, and that he was willing to go down into that room and die in Kirk's place. He was more than willing to. He said immediately, I will go.
It's not his fault.
Yeah.
It's not his fault they launched before that everything's coming next Tuesday. It's some admiral who's been collecting dust behind a desk for 10 years that was like, no, we have to launch the new Enterprise B on Friday.
Now.
Friday, we want to have the weekend. We can't wait till Tuesday. Right.
If we don't get it done now, then we have to change the date on all the commendation plaques. We have to change the Starfleet records. It's just it launches by Friday or it doesn't launch. It's just, one other nice little thing I noticed is that the champagne bottle in the longest opening sequence known to man, it takes about 3.5 minutes, is dated to 2265, which is the year of the first season of TOS. Which is a cute little touch.
That's a cute touch.
Oh, nice.
I quite like that long intro. It adds... I think that was the kind of one of the first films that I watched that wasn't just wasn't just a kid's film, because I think in '94 I was 10, so it wasn't just a sort of it wasn't just kids.
You're like, this is the apex of cinema.
A little bit. Opened that door to kind of go I'm just watching a champagne bottle. It's very atmospheric. It opens the idea of something I'm watching can be atmospheric. It can sort of just lead itself to be. To sort of, you just watch the moment, absorb it into your soul a little bit and kind of let the environment, and then that kind of crescendo builds and you're not quite sure what's going to happen, and it smashes against the Enterprise B, it pans out and you're kind of going, oh, that ship looks awesome, and it kind of, there's a little bit of an emotional roll to it, which I really like. I kind of like that. That was,
It worked on a big screen because I was in college when the movie came out. I remember seeing that rolling out on a small screen. It kind of
how are you better looking than both of us then? How does that work?
I'm Chekhov, who has his adrenaline cure against the aging disease, and you're Shatner and Nimoy just with the grey wigs and the aging makeup from Deadly Years.
But
no, sorry,
yes.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt there. But you were talking about. I imagine big screen that plays really well, especially with that music. With Dennis McCarthy does music for it, and it's such a lush score. You could argue that almost no one can match Jerry Goldsmith because he is incomparable. I am partial to a bit of James Horner, but Dennis McCarthy does such a good job, just especially with the music for the Nexus and for the action. Just he hits those beats and he gets that sense of awe and majesty. If I was getting someone to direct the Star Trek equivalent of a submarine movie, you get James Horner. If you want to do motion picture where you're just exploring one thing, get Jerry Goldsmith. But if you want someone to just articulate awe and majesty at the cosmos and the sheer scale of the things that you're imagining, get Dennis McCarthy. He does such a good job on this movie.
Yeah, and to skip ahead, when they're in the Nexus and they're riding horses, both Kirk and he does this variation on the Deep Space Nine theme and somehow interweaves the Voyager theme into it. I just noticed this on today's rewatch. And I was like, this is really... It was really masterfully done, because it's not overt, but you can just hear the themes interwoven into the Generations theme. It works really nice.
Did he? I think he did the theme for DS9, right?
Oh yeah, he might have. He could have just been collecting his own residual check.
Well, also, but it's also a case of DS9 is also a really good theme. It captures that series perfectly.
The early DS9 theme is when they remaster it with the drums and the shitty guitar solo. Then not so much. But the first DS9,
I like
theme
it fine.
Brilliant.
It's fine. It's guess what? It ain't Faith of the Heart. Let's cut to it.
No, nothing will ever be Faith of the Heart.
Nothing will ever be Faith of the Heart. I listened to someone put an orchestrated version of Archer's theme over the Enterprise intro, and it actually works perfectly fine.
So much better, doesn't it?
So much
It's
better.
what should have been. Anyway, please carry on.
Now, this is the other decision that I feel like the film got flat for, and rightfully so, with the killing of Robert and Renee, right? But, man, Patrick Stewart really sells, like, it looks like he's been stabbed in the gut when he gets told that, and you could see him, like, visibly wincing in pain. I don't know if it's maybe the choice I would have made if I'm introducing my captain to the big screen to have him cry in, like, his third scene, even though I like that emotional tenderness for Picard, who is usually so closed off. I don't know if it was maybe the right choice for a cinema-going project, but he and, like, Marina Sirtis gets so much more to do in this than she does in most of the other TNG movies, which is maybe why I have a bit more of an affection for it. But just that emotional tenderness and that conversation about legacy and about, like, what it's going to mean that, like, Renee's never going to have those experiences that Picard have. You can feel a real tenderness and a longing in there that is, like,
fun bit of
that's
trivia.
the kind of conversation that Trek should be about.
Right.
Fun bit.
I mean, what you're... I'm sorry, go on.
No, please, you do your bit. No,
well, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, the whole acting arc of Stewart, from hearing the news on the ship to sort of, like, snapping at Riker on the bridge, which I love that little bit, like, just do it, that's a great acting art. But you're also right, it has no place in a transition movie between the TOS series.
Especially when you've just spent 15 minutes making Kirk look like the biggest hero he's ever been.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you were like, let's take the first 15 minutes and just make it a short trek. You could just pull it out and make it a short trek about the death of Kirk. It's true, because this movie feels like separate movies slapped together. Yeah. But,
and they are kind of constrained by because I was looking at your notes that you put down, Idle, and you put down that they had a mandate of make these two meet somehow. And it's like, when you're constrained by 100 years, it's really hard.
Yeah, so two things I'll touch on that. The first was with the Patrick Stewart emotional scene. He was actually reading, at the time, offset when he's not being filmed, he's reading a script for another film, which is a very emotional journey, which he has stated that fueled his emotion in the scenes where he did break down and cry, break down about the loss of his brother and his nephew in those scenes. So, like, that's an interesting thing with the whole so a little bit of production notes. The original concept of the film, as written by former, and I'm reading off a little bit off memory alpha here, some of the notes they put on. So original writer producer Maurice Hurley, Kirk wasn't in it as he was. He was originally going to be a hologram recreation by Captain Picard to help him solve an interdimensional species that was going to wreak havoc across time and space. But originally it turned around and they said, right, no, we actually want Kirk in the flesh, but how can we do that? And then there were some ideas bandied around that they said, like, right, we're going to get both crews, like full TOS crew, come in, and for some reason they're going to battle against each other. Like, and a lot of people, I think that was again nixed off as like, how do you do this without someone looking like the bad guy? There is no way you can do that.
The only way you could do it is if you had Q orchestrate it, and he's making them think that the others are like Klingons or
possibly,
or whatever.
yeah. But
it's the only way you could justify it.
Does that not sound like the TOS episode with Yadrin, like with the
the Savage Curtain?
Yeah, the Savage Curtain. Like, it's kind of a little bit like that. But they were going to use Whoopi Goldberg, Guinan, to kind of bridge the crews, which they kind of did a little bit in the end product. But eventually they did turn around.
The comment I liked was that the producers and the writers were like, if we just have both Enterprises fighting on the poster, that would be the best poster of all time. Like, we have to make this happen. We have to make this happen in the story, and they just couldn't. They couldn't figure it out.
Well,
ultimately, I think the structure works. It just the execution is
yeah.
By the way, the script that Patrick Stewart was reading when he was shooting this was for Robin Hood Men in Tights when he played King Richard.
Was it?
And that's why I got so emotional. No. I mean, it was around that time.
So I was like, did I read that wrong? No. Can you
It's
imagine?
like, Patrick, are you? He's like, in his mind, he's just going through the extras bit. I've seen everything.
No, I imagine it was for. I imagine it was for Jeffrey, which was the tale of like the AIDS crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would do it. That would get you going. Yeah.
So, for why they didn't end up getting the original crew, because they ended up with just Chekhov and Scotty, didn't they? So
Money, my dear boy.
a little bit, actually,
Partly.
kind of not as much. DeForest Kelly was
No, I know
essentially
this
kind
bit,
of
yeah.
went, nah, I don't really want to. I mean, to bear in mind, he was sort of aging a bit at that point. He was sort of not long
Quite a bit
before he
older at this
died
point,
in, I believe it was 95, 96. He passed away.
I think so, yeah.
Leonard Nimoy was, you know how Leonard Nimoy is with Star Trek. He's very changeable to, I am Spock, I am not Spock. He kind of he was originally supposed to be the original director. Like, they wanted to get him on as number one choice. Like, we want Leonard Nimoy to direct this. To which he went, no, because there's not much Spock in it. They said, like, Spock's in this, and essentially he's going to be a couple of lines and then done. He wanted more for Spock to do in the film, which, honestly, fair enough. We kind of wanted a bit more Spock. We could have
You can
Spock
very
work.
see where the seams are, because if you look at what Scotty does with finding a solution for getting out of the Nexus, and if you look at what Chekhov does in terms of tending for the injured refugees on the Lakul, it's very obvious where those characters would have fit.
Yeah.
And they change a few lines around. That being said, I think one of my favorite lines of the movie is when Kirk and Chekhov are talking about Demora Sulu, and he's like, "Oh, I was never that young. No, you were younger." And that's a really nice and tender moment for those characters who don't often get to show tenderness toward each other. Like, Kirk would have been an immensely formative influence on Chekhov as a young officer,
Absolutely.
but they never really delve into that relationship because of the way TOS is structured. And getting to see it acknowledged in this paternal, proud way, I don't think it was really intended, but it's almost a rebuttal to the idea that Kirk didn't leave behind a proper legacy by not focusing on time for a family. It almost feels like it's no, you did leave something behind in the people that you influenced and you helped grow. Like, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked to bring back the full TOS cast because Undiscovered Country is like a perfect send off. So much so that even the credits where they were signing their signatures, like
The Avengers Endgame stuff, yeah.
ripped off that ending, like beautifully.
Wait,
well
what?
done by the.
It's just such a perfect thing, and it was an insurmountable task. The idea of trying to bridge these two, and it's also a case of when you have two such dominant personalities as Kirk and Picard, how do you make them interact in such a way that one does not overshadow the other, one does not diminish the other, and they both come from completely different styles of filmmaking. And when Kirk was first created in the '60s, he was envisioned as a very different character, and then Picard was intentionally made to be a different type of character so that he was not directly compared. So it's like, granted, it's a really hard task to make that gel, and I feel like they did as well of it as they could have done. I would struggle to make it feel more natural than it is. What are your thoughts on Soren? Because I love Malcolm McDowell, but I feel like he's a little bit underutilized.
There's really two good Star Trek movie villains, and that's Khan and the Borg Queen, and every other movie has struggled to put forward a good movie villain.
Cruz is okay.
All right.
I like Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd's good. I like him. He's fun.
I feel like there's too much comedy. Like, Lloyd's coming off of like
Back to the
his
Future.
his taxi appearances and Back to the Future at that point, and I had trouble separating
Yeah.
the image of
Absolutely.
Christopher Lloyd. Yeah.
But he is kind of, when you think about it, the first real Klingon. Like, in terms of how he became on TNG, because he's the synthesis of,
True.
having an honorable outlook, caring about his crew. Like, you can see a lot of what Cruz is that goes forward into TNG with those characters. He's like the first melding of the TOS and TNG ones. So you have to owe it to him. But yeah, you're not wrong that those are the two strongest villains. Like, Soren doesn't get to do much in this apart from shoot his gun gangster style and smolder a little bit.
Well, yes and no. The best parts of Soren are before he goes to Viridian 3. The best parts are when he's talking with Picard, when he's sort of like escaping the Lakul and things like that. Is where he's setting up those scenes where he's talking with Patrick Stewart and establishing his motives are the best parts, because that scene in 10-4 when you got that spectacular lighting, when they basically take the TNG sets and just go, we're just going to take all the I love it. I absolutely adore those lights. I know
it's really silly when you know that it's because they have to hide the scenes on the budget, but it does look really cinematic and good in the right places.
It does.
Other times it looks like someone's just feeling depressed and has them turn the lights on.
But in the context of Soren talking to Picard after Picard sort of found out the news and sort of dealing with his guilt, and he's talking about the times like the fire in which we burn. Using that phrase is I love that. I think that's a nice moment, and I wish we had more of that.
To go back to Stuart's emotional arc, the way he reacts when he says that line is like he looks like he's been stabbed again in the exact same spot, and he really acts his arse off.
The other time you get that kind of reaction from Picard is when he's talking to Sisko in the emissary, and Sisko mentions that oh yes, I was there at Wolf 359. You get basically the color drain from Picard's face. He just kind of goes into that stoic moment. It's just like that's the same kind of reaction, and it's one of Patrick Stewart's just wonderful. Acting, this is me acting.
Well, it also helps that you don't see Picard do that very often. He is not very often shaken or just taken completely aback. So when you see it, it stands out, and that again ties into the fact that that's a good character moment for Picard in context of 7 seasons. Maybe not the best way to introduce your captain, because between holodeck tomfoolery, fobbing off responsibility onto Riker, having an emotional breakdown, and then otherwise not being terribly effective in the movie, it makes Picard come off kind of rough. And if you think about it, just in terms of the movie, maybe they swing too far in the other direction in First Contact, where he becomes a bit more of an action hero. But I still am okay with his character arc in that movie, whereas here it was a bit muddled. But
the other side of
it's not McDowell's. It's not at all McDowell's fault at all. It's what he's given to work with.
Absolutely.
The assignment. He understands the assignment. He's going big. He's twirling his mustache. He's really chewing every word that he's given. I love the moment where he punches one of the Lursa or Betor, I forget which one it is, and everyone grabs him and he's just like, what are you gonna do to me? He's like what? But they just don't. The problem is the central motivation of this character is solved if Picard just hey, have you seen our holodeck? And he's like, no, I don't know what that is. I've been working on this plan of getting back to the holodeck. Well, come, let me show you.
So what you're saying is Picard should have beamed down with a little hollow image to of his family, showed it to them, and he was like, oh, and then Picard just runs up behind him and punches him in the back of the head.
What is this strange devilry? So Soren breaks down in the second half, where he just turns into the moustache-twirling villain just to kind of get his own way without really thinking about it, and just trying to sort of obsessively with the Nexus. I think that's where he breaks down. But did you guys know that Malcolm McDowell doesn't look back on this film favourably? Because he often calls it sort of, not his finest work, and sort of kind of did it because I'm going to be in Star Trek. But he actually got death threats. He got death threats because people went, you killed Captain Kirk, which is the dumbest thing ever. But yeah, he got enough of them that it kind of made him sour the project.
Yeah, and this is a guy that was in Caligula, and he doesn't like this guy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Malcolm, I know you're never going to hear this, but if by some cosmic coincidence you ever hear this, you were in the second Silent Hill movie. You have nothing to be ashamed about. No. Not about Star Trek.
No, it'll be fine. Let's say Soren did get to the Nexus one day. So the other thing, speaking of responsible for killing Kirk, do you know that wasn't the original way that Kirk was supposed to die, and was actually not
shot in the back?
He does, originally, and I believe the deleted scenes footage is out there. They originally shoot him shot in the back, and they had to reshoot it to do that. But problem was Patrick Stewart had grown his hair out. Can you believe it? So when you see the shots of Patrick Stewart in the bridge scenes, he's actually wearing a kind of a specially fashioned hairpiece covering his growth. So there may be some reshoots where they have to somehow make him balder than he is. Fun fact.
Star Trek in hair, name a more tempestuous relationship. I boggle at the idea that they thought that that'd be a satisfying death for Kirk, because it's already I think it's a fine death for him. He literally dies saving 230 million people. It's
Yeah.
fine. In concept, at least. Like, the execution is a little bit limp, because it is just a bridge falls on him. And that's been the subject of death for a while. But it's also a case of... You have to remember, Shatner... This climax does boil down to 3 old men fight on a mountain. It was never going to be like Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, right? Like, I don't know what people were quite expecting. How did you think Captain Kirk was going to die? I think part of the problem is they give him a way more satisfying death in the opening 15 minutes of the movie, and then they swap it out for a different one. And if they had found some way to swap him around, maybe that might have been a better swap, but I don't know quite how you could do that. Maybe he dies saving the Enterprise D, but I don't know.
Well, if you need to destroy the Enterprise to get to the Enterprise E, I think you sit Kirk down in the captain's chair, since he just talked about it has a whole monologue about not letting yourself get taken out of his chair, and let
That
him,
would have been good. Yeah.
Whatever
If
you
he
need to
commanded
do.
the battle bridge as it's fought off the Klingon ship, and
That might not have been so bad, yeah.
Oh yeah,
that would have been
good.
that could have fixed a few problems.
But instead, we get him like shimmying over a chain link.
And his
railing.
final words. I've never trusted Klingons.
But I do like his final words that they use. I like the little "oh my" moment. I think he actually nails that little delivery.
But he says it.
I think he
George
has
Takei.
delivery.
Oh my!
I feel like I love Shatner, right? I think he's a good actor, despite what everyone says about him, especially like in Wrath of Khan. That being said, he is not being directed to Wrath of Khan like lengths here. I feel like that the direction is not as no one's
the
Nicholas
director
Meyer.
of
Yeah,
Generations?
Nicholas Meyer. I can't remember. That says everything. He does an alright job, honestly. I think his name's David Carson.
Okay.
I think he directed Yesterday's Enterprise as well, because you can tell in the way that he shoots Geordie rolling underneath the Enterprise,
okay.
engineering Geordie
okay.
that same way. Down to Geordie giving a like that kind of pose. But I feel
Shatner-
like
Go on.
because I was thinking about this in relation to Anson Mount, because Anson Mount does some amazing stuff with facial expressions, especially with comedy in Strange New Worlds. And I think about like the emotions that meant to play across Kirk's face as he's dying, of the fear, the surprise. Oh, I'm not dying alone after all. We're kind of alone. And then finally acceptance and wonder. And I feel like maybe it was a case of the direction, maybe it was a case he wasn't fully invested because it's not his movie, quote unquote, and we know what Shatner's ego is like. But I feel like if he doesn't quite get it all across on his face, granted, he is covered by a bridge. So maybe that was impeding his ability to emote.
Would you like to know David Carson's first directorial credit was on Coronation Street?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Back in 1981. Anyway, sorry, fun fact.
Jesus.
Yeah, Shatner needed
yeah.
a strong hand of a Nicholas Meyer to add gravitas. Even in the first 15 minutes, which are pretty decent. He's a little muggy, right?
Yeah.
Shatner leans
I especially think of the way when Harriman is about to go off the bridge and he just says, "Wait." And it's like he's about to do a movie trailer reading, like in a world. Like, and it's like I feel like a stronger director like Meyer might have talked him into a more naturalistic experience. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have made him shoot that line 50 times until he was tired, and he just said it like quietly, and it would have been good.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's
This is
the
the
one
way you
we're
rein
using.
Shatner in. So, other thoughts?
Can we talk about
These uniforms.
the uniforms change
yeah, literally
magically?
is next on my notes.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like looking at Geordie in the oversized O'Brien DS9. Yeah, because for those of you who don't know, Geordie wears O'Brien's oversized engineering outfit, which is why it's up to his fucking wrists,
Which they
like
didn't
that.
need to do that at all. They had the TNG uniforms, but for some reason, they were going to have a completely new Starfleet uniform, weren't they? Which kind of looks like the Picard Season 2 uniforms. They're going to have a little bit of wraparound. But they went, no, we're not going to do that, and actually didn't tell Playmates Toys, who ended up producing a load of toys with those uniforms, so you can kind of see the original concept. But for some reason, they said, right, we're not going to do that. We're going to use the Yeah.
from the same line.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, because that's an actual accurate one. This is something that Worf did wear. All the other outfits in the same one are completely wrong.
Yeah. So
Yeah, on this rewatch, I had a little bit of a cognitive dissonance of watching Michael Dorn, a black man, being hauled out of the hold of a ship in shackles
Yeah!
on the 18th century. the one saving grace of that was that Geordie, of famed Roots Kunta Kinte fame, took the shackles off of him. I was like, okay, maybe that's
It's a racial theory dissertation to be written about this movie.
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, why they had to suddenly decide to go, we can't just go back to the TNG uniforms. Let's just use the DS9 uniforms, which aren't fitted for our crew. But the TNG ones are. I really don't understand why they
Breaks
do.
with his uniform up around his freaking forearms
because
he's wearing
that was Avery
Brooks'
Brooks' uniform, wasn't it? And it didn't fit him because Avery Brooks is,
It looks like Riker's about to go Marcus the Queensbury rules or somebody. Like he's about to roll up his sleeves and buttons. It's like, no, he's a freaking, commanding officer of the Enterprise at this point.
Yeah.
Like, why are you wearing your outfit like this?
So
And only
what
certain
Stewart was
people have to
trying.
wear them. Like, Worf never wears one. Crusher never wears one. Troy never wears one. Why?
So the exception
Well,
is
that's why
Picard.
Stewart was crying in that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The exception
Picard,
is
because
Picard.
Picard. Yeah,
Has to wear it. But his the only one. He's a very unique variant because he actually has the belt. No other DS9
Yeah.
uniform has the belt on it. That's the only time you ever see it is when Picard is wearing the DS9 uniform with a belt. It's like a black Velcro belt that you never see anywhere else, which is, again, confusing. They're just like, we can't wear this uniform, so belt.
So that's why he couldn't fit through the hole on Viridian 3.
Yes. That's why they changed it.
yeah, it's really abrupt. Like they go from Picard crying over his family in the TNG outfit, and then to the reception when they're in TNG out. Riker leaves that reception, goes down to engineering, and is suddenly in the DS9 outfit.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like someone, they were told it as a joke. Go to the replicator and get a new uniform. Why? Starfleet Command said so. It's like, okay, and then they just turn up on the bridge like.
We're slowly working towards our baggy 80s tracksuit look. And then luckily in First Contact they went, okay, no, we'll actually properly redesign it this time. But I think the wraparounds could have looked good. They made it look good for Picard Season 2. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Someone just went, no, we don't...
Future technology, they didn't have it just yet.
Fun fact. Did you know this is only William Shatner's only appearance as Kirk without Leonard Nimoy? And another fun fact, William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy were, this is post-Generations, were interviewed, to which they said, would you appear, to Leonard Nimoy, would you appear in another Trek film? And Leonard Nimoy said, it's like, only if Shatner will be there. And Shatner's like, oh, you're a liar, I was already in one, you didn't turn up.
So, did you guys hear about the thing they wanted to get Shatner in for in the '09 movie? I imagine you must have done.
No, I actually haven't. I know what they wanted to do with him in Enterprise, but not in
I didn't know about that.
Oh.
So, you know that scene on Delta Vega, where Spock is like marooned by Nero and Kirk is marooned by Quinto Spock. He, as proof of their relationship, he was going to pull out a little holo message from Shatner Kirk, and it was going to be, him just before he left on his mission to Romulus, and presumably just before the Enterprise B thing. And it was just really nice. I've read the transcript of what he was going to say, and it was actually really quite nice, emotional, and a little bit Shatner-esque, because he starts it off by singing "Happy Birthday" to him, and then like being, I know you hate that shit.
Oh, no.
You can kind of hear Shatner's voice reading it, and it's actually quite nicely written. But Shatner, being Shatner, wanted way more of a role. So that's another way in which Nimoy broke his promise. He was like, "Oh, I'll show up," and then Shatner was like, "No, I want more."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice little thing. I'm kind of sad we didn't get it, because it would have been a nice little. Again, and speaking of transitional films, it would have been a nice little bridging thing.
So you say you've not heard about the Enterprise one. This was on the Shuttle Pod interview with Rick Berman, or was it Brandon Braga? One of the two. And they sat down and said, yeah, we wanted to get Kirk in Enterprise, and we would figure out they had a script They had everything ready to get. I don't know what was in the script, whether he was playing Kirk's ancestor or something like that. But in the end, it came down to like when Shatner went, "So how much?" And he turned up a figure, and CBS at the time just went, "Oh, that's too much money. We're not having him on for that." So
We're already getting cancelled. We ain't giving you that kind of money.
Yeah, this is in a later series of Enterprise. They'd already like pulled the plug like 2 seasons before and just went, "No."
Yeah, it was for the season finale of Enterprise. Where
was it? Okay.
Kirk was trying to make a hard decision, and so he ran a holodeck program.
Wait, who's cheaper? Who's cheaper? Jonathan Frakes? Fantastic. Could you imagine Shatner in that era in the chef uniform or the maker uniform?
I mean,
this is Boston legal era Shatner as
one.
well. This is Shatner at his kind of his widest as well. Like, this isn't, yeah.
So, funny thing. So the only Star Trek shows, by definition, that Jonathan Frakes has not appeared on are TOS, Strange New Worlds,
Give it time,
Discovery, and Prodigy. And I feel like we should fix that. I am happy for Riker to appear in some capacity in these other shows. I don't know what it is, but you can't get rid of him.
We need to do a Trials and Tribulations with Riker appearing in TOS, where suddenly he just goes back in time and they remaster the episode and Forrest Gump him in. They did it with
No, you know what? Get lower decks. Like they have like him on the Titan, and then like him and Boimler have to go back to a TOS episode,
yes.
and they're at live and they're animation, but they're in live action scenes.
Yeah. But the TAS animation, the animated series, like because they already proved that. Yes,
that'd be
That's
great.
so good.
Which have you seen?
Yeah.
Have you seen the Voyager TAS remake? Because there was that. I forget. You could go look up on YouTube. Look up Next Generation TAS where they did that. But they did one with Threshold of all episodes, and it's so good. It's really good. Go look it up. Anyway, back to Generations.
Fairly maligned. I think it's a solid movie.
It is. I really enjoy it. I unironically like the Christmas scenes with Picard and the Nexus, and like him kind of realizing the family he has. I like that. I don't mind that. I know others are a bit more.
It's a little bit. You were talking about the unfortunate racial implications of like having a black man being brought out and chased on the touch. I was looking at these children like these children have slaves.
Oh no!
The way they are dressed,
Yeah,
and the way
it is a bit Dickensian, isn't it?
It's a little bit too Dickensian, a little bit too like. I half expected them to see Guinan and be like, like
Jesus. I took it as more like the allegory of Picard of like this is the Picard that he wanted to be that was too stiff upper lip that he couldn't. It was too.
That
Also,
reminds me. No, you go, Shy. I'll hold on to my point.
Why is it a random redhead that is obviously supposed to be Beverly Crusher?
Oh, it's so obviously Beverly. It's so obvious.
Because,
the funny thing is, if they had put Gates in that role, no one would have blinked an eye. No, everyone would be like, that's right.
But here's the thing, this is Picard's own guilt. Like, he wants to be with Beverly Crusher, but he can't bring himself to admit it, so he will be with someone nearby in his own fantasy. Like, he is that twisted mentally that he can't admit to himself that he wants.
Speaking of mental twists, like, I was like, you know what, I don't think Picard's got that much of an ego. That's sheer fucking hubris. And then, when I was watching it, like, in the house, he has this Victorian Dickensian house, there is a painting of Patrick Stewart in like a Horatio Hornblower style naval outfit. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with your ego, Picard? That is disgusting.
Oh my god, I'm
what
getting that on my back wall. I'm going to put that over there.
Dude, I was like, there is something twisted mentally about you, Jean-Luc Picard, and not just because of the death of your brother and nephew.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, boy. The little Fauntleroy clothes of his kid. You just expect him to be eating like some blueberry pie, like Wesley.
They've gotten Will Wheaton back. Can you imagine if they'd gotten Will Wheaton back for that? That would have been hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he should have been in the Nexus, really, shouldn't he? His Wesley Crusher should have been the guide and aspect in the Nexus. That could have been an interesting little way to bring Wesley back.
That could have been fun. That could have been You know, that would have been more of an easy way to justify why Picard isn't assuaged for like more than 5 minutes.
Yes.
You know, because like that is ultimately the actual one of the big structural problems of Generations is that they spend so much time and so much dialogue with Guinan justifying that it's like being inside Joy. You'll never know contentment like this again. And I had to make peace. I would never over it. That I would never feel that again. And then Picard's out there in 5 minutes.
But this is this is one of the favourite parts about Picard is despite the fact that he's given everything he wants, he is a realist and will accept the punishment for the greater good, for the greater good, for the stakes that are actually at cost. You know, he's not someone to just, and Kirk is as well. And eventually they talk each other out of leaving the Nexus, which is part of the greatest scene of the film. Is Picard and Kirk finally meeting, finally talking, and having that moment between themselves where they kind of, you know, a little bit of dick waving and then a horse ride, and then they work it out.
But also, anyone born after like 2370 knows what a holodeck is. So you go into the Nexus and you're like, oh, this is just a holodeck. I don't need this.
I could get my
maybe it's a case
of
boomers understanding technology differently. Maybe that's why Guinan and Soren would take and Kirk would take completely into it, and then Picard's like, oh, I've done this. Can you do Dixon Hill?
It was before holodeck technology advanced. It was 23rd century.
Completely different film. If this was Dixon Hill fantasy, he would have never have left.
Yeah, it's true. You can get 20 minutes of a noir movie with Nicky in the nose.
It's just him and Lily Sloan like going around in the Dixon Hill universe.
Yes. Give me that.
Boy. Also, 3 captains of the Enterprise are noted equestrians, and at least 2 of them, Kirk and now Pike, are incredible chefs, apparently, although I think probably Pike has probably never burned his Katerian eggs.
No,
I would guess.
He just couldn't. He's physically incapable of burning anything unless he chose to, and it still would be glorious.
Yeah, I like
the dillweed stuff is fun. But,
Dillweed. Yeah, I like how high level of a cook they're making Pike on Strange New Worlds. Like
he's gonna start pulling up like the Furley Whitting Stall stuff, like where it's like you eat it and then it dissolves in your mouth, and they're like, Captain Pike, shouldn't you be commanding the Enterprise? No, this has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Now, actually, captains being chefs is. Sorry, go on.
I was saying Picard, bottles wine, so he produces a food stuff as well. So.
And then there's Janeway, who can't even program a replicator right.
No, she just injects coffee straight into a frontal cortical node. But Sisko is a known chef as well, so there is a precedent. And then Picard's just like, I'll have tea and crumpets as replicated for my breakfast with Beverly.
I love how much Shatner has insisted in this movie that he can show off his physical prowess. Right?
Oh yeah, lots of jumping around, ladders.
I'm gonna chop this wood. Watch me chop this wood. Chopping wood's not easy, But
it looks cool.
He's showing you that he can do his dressage on his horse by having it walk backwards and around. Picard.
Of course, he wouldn't be a Shatner if he wasn't showing off some sort of Kirk-esque element of like.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, how long do you think it's going to be before someone deep fakes Anson Mount Pike into this? Because it transplants surprisingly well, actually, right down to seeing through an illusion, equestrianism, chefs, saving the galaxy while you're in diapers. I was looking at this like, this is all very Pike in a way. Maybe that's because I've got Pike on the brain. Maybe.
We're all that. Okay, let's wrap this one out. Okay, stars. Let's do our 10 rating. What factor of 10 are we going to give this? What is our denominator? 10 Christmas balls out of what?
How many Focus 3 revolting cocktails out of 10? Because let's not forget the data comedy.
Oh my god,
which
the
is
whole data part. We forgot about that. That's
because it stands on its own.
That scared me. When I first saw him freak out about his emotion chip, when he proper pulls those expressions.
And the eyes bug out.
Oh
I think
my
that's
god!
CGI
I was freaked the fuck out by that. That was horrible.
Use the mask technology. It's like from
Yeah.
Carrey's.
Awooga.
You don't need to Brent Spiner. He could just do that by himself.
That's true.
I honestly I believe that. No, I think the best part of the entire Data comedy arc is just, I hate this.
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
revolting.
So good.
More?
Spider
Yes.
comedy is all good. But then him and
Yeah.
Picard have that great scene in
Oh,
Stellar
astrometrics.
cartography, yeah. No, it's stellar cartography.
Oh, stellar
It's
cartography,
legally
yeah.
extinct.
Yes, sorry. The same set they used for the X-Men films.
right.
Oh
Or might
god,
as well
it is
be, yeah.
Cerebro!
Yeah, it's Cerebro.
It is
It's the
Cerebro.
exact same thing.
But that scene's fantastic. I always love
yeah.
when Picard gets indignant and military on people.
Yeah, no, it's good
snap out of
fun.
And the life form
but-
song. Thank you, Grimacing Moon. Yes, the life form song. Life forms. Do.
Do we think Geordi likes Data after Data gets emotions eventually at some point?
I don't think he has a choice. I think at this point he's his carer.
I feel like every time,
He's his legal guardian.
every time we've seen
No,
Data
it's his
get
boyfriend.
emotions, yeah, every time we've seen Data get emotions on the show or in this movie, Geordi just seems annoyed by him.
He's not very compassionate, is he? He's not patient at all.
He's like,
Well, maybe there's a part of Geordie that does, because I remember that's actually in the TNG season Bible. Is that part of the reason why they have a connection is because Geordie understands machines. That's written into the series Bibles. That's why they have such a strong friendship. I think it's more just a case that Data is not good at processing emotions in a way that is naturalistic, and it's only when Data actually does start to become annoying to a homicidal, because let's not forget the last time he had emotions turned on, he tried to kill Geordie with law and dissent.
Yeah.
You know, so it was good to let that one go. But yeah, it's one of those things where I don't think it's a problem with Data having emotions. It's just he's not able to process them properly, and I feel like in Insurrection, you know, he has more of that emotional bent to him, and they didn't, you know, they still got on just fine. Although they don't have a lot of scenes together in Insurrection. Now that I think about it.
They kind of after Generations, they kind of just ignore the motion chip at one point, and you only get like a brief line in First Contact. It was like, I'm feeling apprehensive, and Picard's just like, cut that shit out and turn it off. With it's the ball right there.
We did that arc last movie.
And then it's never really spoken about again. Even in Nemesis is like the kind of like, we're just going to ignore the motion chip, like.
That's the kind of character detail that the director of that movie would love to ignore. Stupid bad fucking
Very true,
asshole.
very true.
yes,
Yeah,
but
no,
also
I feel like one thing I did notice that I love is that little cabinet that Data opens up that has the emotion chip in it. He has like 2 Sherlock Holmes pipes in there. And that's really cute. He has 2 of them, one on either side. And it's like, man, just admit that you're gay for your cosplay partner, man. Just admit it. Like, those 2 are so sweet together. If Nemesis hadn't happened, they'd be growing old together and still playing Holmes and Watson.
Absolutely.
Now, how many Focus 3 revolting cocktails out of 10 would you give this movie, gentlemen?
I'm generous. I'll give it a 7. I enjoy this movie more than I should.
Yeah?
Because it's entertaining.
I feel like
it's entertaining all
yeah.
the way through. I love the ship stuff right at the start of the Next Generation. And like you say, the whole short trek with the Enterprise B stuff. I love Data's emotion chip arc. I like the lighting. I like the scene with Picard and Soren. I think I like the Enterprise D crashing. It is such a bullshit death.
Oh, that model sequence is amazing.
It's so good.
that's all practical. Yeah,
it's all practical. It looks really good. It's got emotional impact. It's kind of an end of an era for 2 eras, although they do continue one on. I think I can, happy with the faults of the film, to give it a happy 7 on that one.
Yeah, and I feel like they could have fixed part of the problem with it lost to a 20-year-old bird of prey. They should have really just made it a Vorcha class cruiser and then just been like,
not
you know,
reuse the
Worf just
assets
knows about a vulnerability. When they roll the stock footage from the previous movie for the destruction
and the one
of the bird of
before
prey,
that,
like,
it was originally Search for Spock, and then it was Undiscovered Country,
Undiscovered
and then
Country.
it was
Like,
Generations.
stop reusing that footage, you assholes.
I kind of hope they bring it back some point again. just
like, play it randomly in Strange New Worlds. Just like, why? But like, yeah, like, I ultimately, like, you know, it's still a cool sequence, and I really wish people would give a stop to the bad woman drivers joke. That's such a disservice to Troy, who already has so little to do. She does actually some pretty good, like, evasive maneuvers if you're paying attention to what's going on. And we know how, like, fighting without shields in Star Trek, like, you're basically fighting with your pants down, and the fact that the ship survives as long as it does, and only 17 people die when it crashes, kind of a testament to the fact that she's, like, a really good helmswoman. All that being said, 7.5 out front for me. Like, I think I quite enjoy it, especially because I do get quite a kick out of seeing them recreate a lot of those really familiar Enterprise D shots, but with the CG model. Like, it still has that TV show motion to it, and it does look really good in CG. That was something I really enjoyed in Picard as well, when they recreated the D for the opening dream sequence. I was like, man, that shit still looks good. Galaxy Class, still a classic. What about you, Shai? You're the only one.
I remember liking this movie when I saw it in the theater. I knew instantly there were problems with it. I myself am not crazy about the oversaturated, let's try to make our set look cinematic lighting in the movie. But it's rewatchable,
it is.
It's not painful like Star Trek V is in certain, when you're trying to like rewatch the movie. It's very rewatchable. There's moments that you like the comedy moments, and even the emotional acting of Stewart and other actors chewing scenery. So I'll actually go with Idol's 7 rating. Now, my other question is, where would you rank this in the 10?
Ooh, now that's a question for another time. I think that's something we'll have to talk about when we talk about other films.
When we do like episode 11, we do our ranking of the films.
I would say, like, we'll do another film and then say, right, is this better than the Western Generation? We'll put it there. So at the moment, it kind of sits. I don't know. I think it's.
You're going to do like a Top Gear ranking system where you like, is this better or worse than this?
Yeah, a little bit. I know there are some films.
Where does it stand on the generation scale?
I'd say I prefer it to like things like Search for Spock, obviously Final Frontier. I think I prefer it to Insurrection and Nemesis. I think it's probably my second favorite TNG film of those. I think I would say that. I do enjoy Insurrection. I would say
I like this a little bit less than Insurrection, just because Insurrection is more fun. Like, watching Generations again, it is a bit of a downer in places. Like, even though I think it's well shot and well placed, it's like it is a really just a bit of a downer in like child death. Just like the death of children. Like, when the Viridian 3 shockwave goes off and you see the people on the saucer and then they just get blown away, it's like, that's really dark when you think about like what's going on there. And I can kind of see why they cut the Geordie torture sequence that was meant to be in there.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, that would have made it even more of a downer. And it's like, I like Insurrection a bit more because it is a bit lighter, a bit frothier, a little bit more optimistic about the human spirit. So, but yeah, it's better than Nemesis. I think I hate more than anything else. I hate that more than freaking Final Frontier or Motion Picture.
We'll get there. I think that's a big conversation.
We'll do a rewatch together of the Motion Picture, and you can convince me.
Okay, all right. Director's cut, of course. Yeah. Anyway, let's start wrapping this up. My final piece of trivia. Did you know that William Shatner won a Razzie for worst supporting actor for this film? For people that don't know what the Razzies are, they're awards for terrible performances that people go. Halle Berry famously accepted one for her role in Catwoman.
I love her. Because she came just after coming back from her Oscar win, right?
Yeah, exactly. She had
what a flex. What an effortless flex.
Yeah.
Like, man, what a queen.
That's good. But yeah, Shatner
I don't think
Shatner's
that bad.
No, I don't. I actually think he's okay in this. I think he's had worse roles. But yeah, he won a Razzie for it. I don't know whether he accepted it.
I mean,
it's not within Shatner's ego.
Shatner's just an easy target.
True.
Yeah. And it is this case of it is a different style of acting. Like, you go back and watch, especially like See on the Edge of Forever. Guess what? That's the style of thing, and it works. He hits the notes. It's just
I like Shatner.
Style.
I like Shatner as an actor.
I kind of
I still think his best work is The Wrath of Khan, and my favorite bit of acting he's ever done, and arguably my favorite scene in all of Star Trek, is the conversation they have of. By the way, look forward to our 6-hour talk through every scene in Wrath of Khan, because I think all three of us absolutely adore that movie, and we want to talk about every scene in depth. My favorite scene in the entirety of Wrath of Khan is the conversation that Kirk and Marcus have on the Genesis planet, after Terrell has killed himself, and they're talking about age and vengeance. And it's like they're basically talking about the themes of the movie, but Shatner's work in that scene is superb. He just completely sells like the idea of Captain Kirk has been worn down by time and allowing himself to be pulled out of the best use of his human spirit, and he's just ground into it. And then Marcus, who is this woman who maybe doesn't even love him anymore, has that essential human connection of, let me show you something that'll make you feel young, as when the world was new. And I can't think of a more Star Trek thing than that. And like, ultimately, if a Star Trek movie can leave me with a moment that makes me think about the human spirit, then generally it succeeded. And I feel like that's why something like Nemesis fails so spectacularly, is that there is no real moment like that where I think about the human spirit and what it accomplishes. Like 2 has that moment with Kirk, the entire movie, really. But Generations has that great conversation at the very end with Kirk and Riker talking about time. And just, that's a really nice conversation. And Riker gets the last word with, I plan to live forever. And I feel like that's hilarious for Riker.
Line ever. I just love
it's so good, isn't it?
Cockiness of it.
But it's Jonathan Frakes, so like you just like, you old real rascal.
I've said that to
like,
my wife. She goes, "What are you going to do when you're finally dead? You can't take it with us." No, I plan to live forever. End the conversation.
And it's like, but it's like, yeah, that conversation is like, that's a really good moral message, and it's very Star Trek, like it's about time and aging, and the allowance of things to pass is very mature. Yeah,
and that's the problem with Generations. It doesn't have that book ended. So what's the philosophical through line of this movie?
Yeah, like you say, it's a few different movies squished into one. So it's like, if it had more of a thematic tightness to it, it could have woven it all the way through. But instead, it comes in, comes out, comes back. But at least it ends on the right note.
Yeah, the final line of this movie is like, "Beam us up, Farragut," which is.
But it wraps around to Kirk's previous serving on the Falcon. Okay, on that note, I think we should wrap this one out. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for our inaugural Star Trek show. I'm excited to do this again. I think this has been good fun. We'll probably do some more news.
And thanks to my wonderful co-hosts.
I was exactly going to say that. Thank you for joining us. We will be back. I'll probably do this once a month or so. I'm on holiday soon, so be sometime late August. We'll do another one. Get some news build up. Maybe we might end up talking a bit more Strange New Worlds next time, but we'll preface you with spoilers and maybe talk about another film. As always, come and join our Discord if you've not already and talk more things. And we'll be back next week with Timelines Talks, the actual Star Trek Timelines show. So come and join us then. From myself and from the guys here. I'll see you later. Ta-ra.